Hi, I'm Lynn Gray, Chair of the Hillsborough County School Board. I want to welcome you to Hillsborough County Public Schools. We serve more than 200,000 students. That includes children in preschool through our Adults in Our Workforce program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy Hahn, the Board Vice Chair. Our district is the 7th largest in America, and our team is made up of more than 24,000 people working at nearly 250 sites across the county.
We are diverse and dedicated. Our board meetings are held in our board auditorium on select Tuesdays at 4 p.m. The best way to serve our students and our community is to involve you, the public, in what we do.
You are welcome to email or meet with any of our board members and follow our district on social media. Board meetings are covered live by Hillsborough Schools TV on Spectrum Cable Channel 635 and Frontier Cable Channel 32.
Meetings are streamed on our website at hillsboroughschools.org. Closed captioning is provided on all broadcasts, and past meetings are available in our online archives.
We are interested in what the public has to say. We'll include time for audience comments before we address our business items. Our agenda and any supporting materials can be viewed online in advance. They're posted 7 days before each meeting on our website at hillsboroughschools.org.
Our vision is preparing students for life, and that means all students, every day. Todos los estudiantes, todos los días. Thank you for your interest in education. With your help, we're making decisions that shape our community's future.
Board meeting of October 19th, 2021 is called to order. Member Hahn, will you now lead us in a moment of silence followed by the pledge?
Thank you, Chairwoman Gray. Dear God, as we gather in this place, may you shower your blessings upon each of us and prepare our hearts for the things that will be discussed. Help us to be a blessing in the way we speak and act, and may we speak with humility when presenting our ideas. Help us to admit our mistakes and be willing to act upon the solutions people give us, and may your glory and peace fill this meeting. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have 3 withdrawn items today. 602, purchase agreement between Hillsborough County Public Schools and Presence Learning for teletherapy counseling services to address students in need of intensive mental health and behavioral intervention support. Secondly, 6.11, R1 piggyback temporary staffing services. Third, 11.02, Florida School Board Association resolution ensuring that views are heard and exchanged in a safe environment. I need a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. I have a motion by Member Combs and I have a second by Member Washington. Will there be any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are on. My thing is not there. Oh, yeah, one more time. Yeah. Okay, it is unanimous, and all board members have consented. Thank you. And thank you, Member Hahn, for getting everything technologically orientated. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and they are in person. For precautionary measures, we are limiting attendance to 50 at this time, and we are practicing social distancing as much as possible. So we ask that guests in the board room keep one chair open between families. As a reminder, we are a nonpartisan board who believe all children can be empowered to learn, to succeed, and our decisions will be made with that understanding. To pave the way for efficient and effective agenda statements and/or questions, board members will have 3 minutes to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. Afterward, the superintendent can respond. If you have further questions, you're asked to get back in the queue. Board guidelines. Member Hahn, will you now read the board guidelines?
As we begin this afternoon's meeting, let me quickly review the format of our school board meetings. Please silence all electronic devices. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow board members to hear the meeting upon stepping away from the dais. And this meeting can be viewed with closed captioning on the live webcast, on cable TV, and on video monitors here in the auditorium. It can also be viewed with closed captioning in the online video archives.
Thank you, Member Hahn. We have 2 items scheduled for time certain. We have a 5:01 p.m. public hearing on the adoption of revised policies, and secondly, we have a 6 p.m. employee input opportunity. Public comment. The board welcomes comments from citizens and values your input to the board. In order to provide the most comprehensive response to your comments, our staff will follow up with you and will keep our board informed about the responses. Our school board respects the public's right to speak to the board, and we appreciate you taking your time to be here. However, it is requested when you address the board comments, your comments are not directed personally against a board member or staff member, but rather directed at the issues. Any behavior intended to interrupt the orderly conduct of this meeting will not be allowed. Our civility policy is in place. When addressing the board, please state your full name and speak clearly into the microphone. As a reminder of our way of work, we have allotted 45 minutes for public comments. This afternoon, each speaker will have 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds left, you will see a yellow light on the lectern. A red light and a chime will indicate when your time is up. And at this time, I will now call the first 5 speakers. Paula Castano, Damaris Allen Bridges, Mark Lutho, Kelly Carling, and Cato Carling. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is the mic on?
Yes.
That's okay. Paula Casano. I've shown up at almost every meeting since the spring. I don't do it for my family. I have no political aspirations. I'm here being the voice for thousands of Hillsborough public school advocates who cannot make the meeting, or for those who fear retribution. Public education is a nonpartisan issue. We, to include all of us, Addison, you too, should be fighting to sustain our traditional public schools, particularly the Title I and transformation schools, and holding Tallahassee responsible to fully fund all of our Florida schools and not accept a rank of 44 or 46. This morning, I think the community schools workshop showed someone values our schools. I heard 3 of you reference money. I am fiscally conservative. I grew up poor. We survived on $45 for 2 weeks. I received clothes and food from others. You must be intentional with your spending. Hire an outside agency with a 28% markup to get more bus drivers and custodians? No. Community schools are an investment for our future. Every dollar spent is $15 in benefits. HPSA was accepted into a coalition of community schools with 45 other cities. We will receive over $70,000 in grant money. Then you have ARP money. You have federal grants. Show you value our students, our families, not your next political move. Please restart the in-person steering committee. Thank you for listening. Thank you for lifting up our students.
Next will be Ms. Bridges, Mark Clutho, Kelly Carling, and Cato Carling. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. As many of you know, my oldest child decided to graduate early and move 6,199 miles away. And this past week, we were talking about some of the challenges that come along with moving across the country, going to college online, and living in a place where you don't have a full understanding of the language. And we started talking about his coping skills, and one of the things he said was he kept turning back to this book. Now, this may look like a simple Dr. Seuss book, but what's significant about it, this is my other son's, obviously, because I didn't fly to Russia this morning. All of his teachers throughout the years, all of his principals, assistant principals, have signed it and written a special note for him to encourage him along the way. Why this is significant? Because Hillsborough County Public Schools laid a firm foundation for my son to be successful, no matter where he is, no matter where he chose to go. And that's one of the reasons I love the work of community schools. Although my children didn't attend a community school, they clearly attended schools that valued the four pillars, and organically those pillars were occurring in some fashion in the schools throughout their life. Now, what I'm hoping is that you will invest in all of our kids' futures. Invest in them like my child was invested in, so they can look back and say that my time in Hillsborough County Public Schools made me the successful adult that I am, that my time here truly prepared me for life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mark Clutho.
Mark Clutho, Largo, 703. You don't have a figure next to this. Over there in Pinellas County, all of their agenda items like this would have a figure, a number. You should have an amount. On the door coming in here, it says everybody's supposed to be wearing a mask. Are you too good for that? What's wrong with you people? Here's the headline. Earth's carbon dioxide levels at the highest level in 4 million years. Hotter future is now inevitable, UN report says. July was the Earth's hottest month on record, NOAA says. And the report flooding puts U.S. infrastructure at risk. And note for this area in this article, that means Hillsborough schools. And then it talks about in the St. Pete Times, the 1921 hurricane, and says Tampa Bay is not prepared for something like that to happen again. Getting to the mask. Here's my immunization record. Smallpox, typhoid, tetanus toxoid, tetanus vaccine, cholera vaccine, yellow fever, polio, plague, and multiple times, get the vaccine.
Thank you. And our next speakers. Yeah, she doesn't want me to say her name. Our next speakers, Kelly and Cato. And good afternoon.
Good evening, board members. Superintendent Davis. I'm complying with the mask mandate. some of you may be familiar with the Netflix series drama depicting dystopian future. And all of these COVID safety measures, thanks, honey, are reminiscent of Squid Game. Everybody's running around trying frantically to keep up with all of the new rules that are changing all the time, and all the while sacrificing a life that they once knew for a dangerous bargain with the ruling class. My name is Kelly Carling. I'm a graduate of Harvard University, and I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom of 4 children attending Hillsborough County Public Schools. Read my lips. No more mandates. It would be nice if you made eye contact once in a while instead of just arguing with people on Facebook. How would you like to have your child forcibly injected with a foreign substance? To have your grandchild monitored, her location monitored, your daughter's vitals tracked and beamed to a centralized computer database monitored by the government? This is not a fantasy. This is a reality happening right now on colleges across campus. USC, Syracuse, Rutgers. And if this disturbs you, and it should, I encourage all of you listening to join me, Kelly Carling, and the Moms for Liberty Hillsborough County on Facebook and help me fight back against the new face of evil. Thank you.
And Master Cato? And good afternoon.
Hello, my name is Cato Carling. I'm 8 years old and I go to Mabriel Elementary School. One of the first things med students learn about is the ethics of medical treatment. The mask mandate violates the first rule of medical ethics, autonomy. This means respect a person's freedom to choose what's right for them. The mask mandate also violates the second code of ethics, do no harm. The mask mandate can get you sick because kids spit in them and they get dirty. And the third is beneficence. All choices for a patient are made with the goal to do good. By the way, when I was practicing how to say the word beneficence, I had to see my mom's lips clearly and to learn how to say it correctly, which wouldn't have been possible if she had been wearing a mask. The mask mandate violates it by failing to prove any benefit. Only N95 mask works, and only just a little bit, and no one wants to wear it because it's so hot. We all know what you're thinking. You're going to force us to get the vaccine next. You can't do that because that would be violating HB 241, Parents' Bill of Rights. Please don't make any more mandates, even though that's it's wrong to violate ethics. And I'm only 8. Thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, all right. Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Tina Teresian, Julia S., Jessica Graham, Priscilla, and then Allison Fernandez. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Tina Teresiano. This is my son Rocco. Hello. And Rosario Teresiano. I was taught when I was learning something new to watch and learn from someone who was already doing it well. If you want to be a great leader, get counsel from other leaders. You become better when you are willing to learn from others. Do you know why so many people are moving to Florida? It's because they saw you make good decisions during COVID. When schools reopened and they saw businesses had support from their local communities and people were employed. Citizens support their state and local governments when they have good leaders. Unfortunately, now this is what I hear from my fellow Northerners. And this is true. Wow, Hillsborough is back on the news again. They still can't figure it out. It's a joke. Not everyone can be a leader because you have to make hard choices. You made your choice already by removing the mandatory mask mandate. We should not be talking about this still. This is bad leadership. You know it is unconstitutional to force people to vaccinate and then try to mandatory mask them because they don't. Your decisions have been a moving target. People don't want to follow leaders that can't follow through on their decisions. I am asking you to not be those types of leaders. We want to support you. We want to know that you are making concrete decisions, and we want to rally behind you. We want to be there for the other important decisions that you need to make. Thank you very much for listening and hearing us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Julia? And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm actually one of those fellow Northerners. I moved from Chicago, from tyrannical Chicago in March this year. I'm a Hispanic, a pharmacist, and a mother of three. I'm a mother first. I was here about a month ago. My kindergarten son had a medical exemption, and I pulled him out of the public school he was at in your county because of the mandate. That it surprised me, and I pulled him out, and I'm homeschooling him. I have every intention to re-enroll him next year, and I want to, once there is more consistency and less imposition. Masks have been around for decades, and there's no sudden new revelation of their efficacy for the public to use in the preventing the spread of communicable diseases. There's not. And we don't need an opt-out. We don't know what you'll be doing with vaccines either. Our trust has been broken nationwide. We understand that there are powers that be that are influencing your decision making, but since you are elected officials to represent us, and we know and realize this, we will continue to be civilly engaged here and in many other ways. In Nevada, a $200 million lawsuit has been served to a school board. Many other lawsuits are being drafted and served everywhere. I've been watching. We're paying very close attention to all of it. School board members have been brought up on charges of abusing their power or violating ethics. In almost every case, it is only a couple of school board members that has brought them up on these charges. What's going on amongst this school board? Either we go back to normal and stop trying to push agendas that aren't centralized around core education, or school boards will continue to be seeing their days in courts across the nation.
Thank you. Next, Jessica Graham, and followed by Priscilla, then Allison Fernandez. And good afternoon.
Hi. Hi, my name is Jessica Graham. I am a Hillsborough County parent. I'm told it is the intention of this school board to vote to make the masking opt-out form mandatory. Are we serious with this? Really? I mean, given the plethora of issues in this school district, this is what you're wasting time and money on. If you feel masks work, that's awesome. Wear them. Wear them all day, every day, because I support your choice to wear one. Why is that not enough? Forcing masks is like asking everyone to wear a jacket this winter so you stay warm. I don't know if it's pandering, power, overreach, control, but it's absolutely ridiculous. With the schools understaffed as they are, who do you expect to spend time checking on students' opt-out status? The teachers are stretched to the max at this point. As the school board, it isn't our children's education your main concern. If you make the opt-out mandatory and you make these teachers spend time on this, you're taking away from their education, which is in direct violation of what you're even here for. Let's start focusing on real issues. Enough is enough with regards to unnecessary, unlawful mandates in general. More parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and taxpayers are waking up every single day and seeing the level of overreach taking place in this county. Here's what I'd like to remind you. You work for us. You work for all of us, not just those that agree with you. It would be a smart decision to start taking us seriously because we, the people, have the power. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Jessica Graham. Oh, I'm sorry. Priscilla. I knew I was one off. Sorry, Priscilla. I apologize. And then Allison Fernandez. And good afternoon.
Hello. So I have a lot to say, but unfortunately I only have 2 minutes, so I had to really, fix this up. My name's Priscilla. I'm a parent here again, demanding that you all lift the mask mandate immediately. My children do attend school in Hillsborough County, because I know that there have been some board members here that have made comments that parents just come from all over to, waste their time speaking here. I'm honestly disturbed with how little you all seem to care about not only us as parents, but about our children's well-being. The fact that you guys added an opt-out form so that you wouldn't lose funding once again speaks that this whole thing was never about health and safety, but about greed and power. It was even more evident when you voted on whether or not to have an opt-out form or just to send the kids to school without one. Another form of control. So please tell me who exactly has the time to police for masks and check that these forms were filled out by a parent, as if this hasn't caused enough distraction for our children in the schools. I'd love for someone to share what the point of an opt-out form is and how that differentiates from eliminating the mandate in general and just allowing parents to send their kids to school with or without a mask. So I have an idea to propose. Let's lift the mask mandate and require all parents who send their children to school with a mask to sign an opt-in form, because then we can keep track of the people that want to send their kids to school masked and have somebody policing their children. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You've proven how incompetent some of you are when it comes to making decisions regarding our children. One of your members in particular, makes it very well known everywhere, including here with her vote, that she is completely against parents' choice. When questioned about her comments and her behavior she displays, she gaslights and then blocks you from her public Facebook page. Keep in mind again, there is a lawsuit being filed against you all. I want you to remember that suits cost money, lots of money to litigate, and I hope you're prepared to spend that money. Do not sit here and pretend our kids matter to you when our school system.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you. Next will be Allison Fernandez, and then we'll follow by Sharon Durant, Ruth Nolan, Pat Hall, Kathy Miller, and then Laura Coulter. And good afternoon.
Hi, Allison Fernandez. Good afternoon. A couple of things. One, I really want you all to, when you're thinking about mask or no mask, let the parents decide. Parents are the ultimate persons in charge of their household and their children. So we are the people that will do whatever is in the best interest for our children and their health and welfare. Moving on to meeting access and public access. Please think about allowing people to have a lot more access to this meeting. There are seats here that are open that the public is not allowed in to view. There's no seats outside. The TV is spotty. 2 minutes, 1 minute to comment is very short when there are a lot of issues happening in this district. So I'm asking you to alter your policies to allow more public participation. That moves me to school participation. When are parents and community members allowed to actually be back on campus and have a large volunteer? I know it's up to the schools, but there are still a lot of schools that are not letting parents past the cafeteria. And while my son's in high school and doesn't want me anywhere past the cafeteria, there are a lot of people in middle school, elementary that the teachers would really like the help in the classroom. So, and then on to, can we start focusing on student success? Greco Middle School, I have a lot of time in with that, and over 50% of the children there read on a level 1. Well, if you cannot read very well, you are going to struggle in every subject. So can we get back to focusing on student achievement and really start making a difference in our students' lives in a positive way? So again, parent rights, parent choice, student achievement.
Ms. Fernandez, let me go ahead. Superintendent Davis, can we have a staff member help Ms. Fernandez to know the policy on visitors right now? Because it may help. I know you're very active in the PTA, so I appreciate it. We'll get this sorted out for you. Next, we'll hear from Shannon Durant, and here we go. And good afternoon.
Hello, Madam Chair, Board Members, Superintendent. I'm a proud parent at East Bay High School. So I'm a member of East Bay community. I have a student at East Bay. With that said, we are not going away. We are the parents of Title VI. We might be small, but we have a lot of groups behind us. The Florida Indigenous Alliance, the American Indian Movement of Central Florida, national organizations like AIM, the National Congress of America, of Native Americans, the Native American Coalition Against Racism in Sports and Media. We are asking to have town halls so we can move this process forward. We are also asking that a Native American student can read the Native American Proclamation next month at your next board meeting. Last, I would like to share 2 quotes that friends have shared with me over the last weeks. Don't be afraid of being outnumbered. Eagles fly alone, but pigeons flock together.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ruth Nolan, followed by Pat Hall. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Superintendent Davis, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Ruth Nowland, and I'm here today to address the Native American mascot issue that has been before this board numerous times. There were town hall meetings that were scheduled for both East Bay and Chamberlain high schools so that all sides could discuss this issue. Students, faculty, alumni, and community members. Then you stated that you heard from a group that doesn't want mascots changed, so you canceled the town hall meetings because of one group. There are many groups who wish to have their voices heard, but you so far have ignored them. And you and the board hide behind walls that have been built to insulate yourselves from accountability. This, it seems, is par for the course for the school district. The only equity and inclusion that you espouse is on paper. There is no room for that in reality. I am here to take you to task and ask you to reinstate town hall meetings so that this process can be addressed as it should. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, and then followed by Kathy Miller, and then Laura Coulter. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Inequities are now highlighted by evictions and food insecurities, lack of access to health and dental care, lack of technology for distance learning, and children's challenges are in the national news every day. We have 9 community schools that are helping children and families meet some of these issues head on. We are meeting with county commissioners to bridge dialogue with what we know of the school district. One commissioner said to me that perhaps we could use federal COVID funding to help build a health facility near Gibsonton Elementary. All facets of government need to collaborate to stretch the financial resources of one and all. Academic grades and attendance are improving in our community schools. We must reach out to community partners to bring the larger community interests along. Hillsborough Public School Advocates is reaching out to the Transformation Network schools. Parents' opinions must be listened to and heard. On another subject, Pasco County is changing bell times to accommodate lack of bus drivers. Tallahassee's legislative financial squeeze of traditional public schools is intolerable. Why aren't we screaming about the salaries for custodians, teacher aides, and the like? The shortages of all employees is of crisis proportions. What is the status of boundary line redistricting? December 31st is the deadline, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Next, Kathy Miller, then Laura Coulter. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon to all of you, superintendent and board members. I'm here today on school violence. I'm a grandmother of a middle school student that was brutally beaten and kicked in the eye on October 7th at a middle school. Upon my own research, I found out that the student had been to 9 schools already and have 7 charges. My question is, how many charges do he have to get in order to be dealt with, in order to be moved out of the mainstream schools with kids that want to learn opposed to him wanting to fight? The kids at the schools, they know school is not for fighting, school is for learning. But what frightens me is my grandson tried to go back to the office, to the school, and the resource officer, which was a substitute, is what they told me, she told him get off, to leave the campus. Well, she sent him out there to get beat up, kicked in the face. I got a video and pictures if anybody's interested. But my question is, what is the school board doing as far as trying to eradicate school violence? School violence, they don't calm down. They just they get out of control. And right now I feel like the kids are out of control. The teachers don't have control. The teachers are afraid they're gonna be jumped on. Teachers or students shouldn't be afraid to come to school thinking that some type of violence is going to happen. But we, as the school board first, administrators, teachers, parents, and students, we all can work together to eradicate the school violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Davis, can we have Mr. McCall? Oh, Ms. Bays, thank you. Next, we'll hear from Kathy Mill and Laura Coulter, and Laura. You're ready? Go ahead. Good afternoon.
Hi. We all know, or we should know, the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. Excuse me. It should be painfully obvious by now that this pandemic is not what we've been told, and frankly, it never was. If you are pretending along with this charade in illegally enforcing so-called mandates, which aren't law, you are liable for causing untold physical, emotional, and psychological damage to our children. Because wearing masks is not only not safe, but it's dangerous and it's only harmful. You are also guilty of violating the law and our constitutional rights. This is not and never was about health, but about control and funding. Honestly, you should be ashamed of your actions and you should resign. Why and how did we get here? Indoctrination and brainwash and fear through constant mainstream propaganda and lies are the pandemic, and that can actually be cured. The MSM lies blatantly. Let's Go Brandon, anyone? By misrepresentation and by omission. And if you don't know about Let's Go Brandon, I'm happy to explain it to you. Turn off your TV and radio and start reading, for God's sake. Stop being fooled by terms like conspiracy theorist, anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, etc., which are derogatory terms created to prevent intelligent people from using their critical thinking skills and stop them from listening to the very voices out there who are telling the truth and giving the facts. Again, mandates aren't law. The law is mask optional. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Matthew Kenna, Tegan Kenna, Christina Edwards, Jessica DuBois, and then Nicole Fonahan. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Matthew Kenna. I'm here to discuss the unlawful mask mandate that the school board continues to require of students in Hillsborough County, of which I firmly oppose. For the record, I actually live here in Hillsborough County. I also actually have students, children that attend the public school system here. Seemed like there were some questions on that last time. I wanted to clear that up. Regarding the new opt-out form, apparently this just seems like it's the new mask. Are we just going to print it out and throw it on the kid's face? Really, what is the point? Don't teachers have enough to manage with classrooms that are 30 plus deep without having another list that they have to check daily? Here's the thing. Why are we asking teachers to be parents? Little Johnny shows up sans mask to class. His parents, they want him wearing a mask. We're asking the teachers to police that. But isn't it on the parents to make the decision and make sure that their child is? The board stated that once COVID numbers drop below 5%, this mandate goes away. Well, that's just about here. My expectations of the board that as soon as that happens, which could be as soon as next week, that there's an emergency meeting that is called and this mandate goes away. It should be done as soon as possible. The last thing I want to add, for me personally, this is not something that I normally do. I never thought I'd be involved in this kind of thing. It breaks my heart when I see children at school bus stops or walking home from school outside in a mask. What have we done to them? What have we done? We have taught them to fear their environment. That's not right. The ramifications of this we don't know yet, but we'll see it long term. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Tegan Kenna, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Tegan Kenna, and I've returned to confront the school board on the lack of equality in enforcing the mask mandate on students. Based on the different schools that my siblings and I go to, the way they handle students not wearing masks is very different. Some schools don't care, while others go overboard on guilt-tripping young kids into wearing masks. So, with that in mind, I ask my question. Why is there a lack of communication regarding the mandate from the board? I mean, if you're going to act unlawfully, you should really make it clear how the mandate is being enforced and how teachers should handle it. It's quite inconsiderate to put the weight of the mandate on teachers, when their sole job is to teach, not be mask guards. Why should it be their responsibility to know who's opted out? Your policies are insane. Fix your policy or get rid of it completely. Thanks.
Thank you. Great speaker, by the way. So, here we go. Christina Edwards, and then Jessica DuBois, and then Nicole Fonahan. And we'll get that pronunciation in better shape soon. And good afternoon.
Hi,
Christina.
good afternoon. So the parents in Loudoun County, Virginia, made national headlines over the summer for protesting critical race theory curriculum being forced into their schools. Major news outlets such as New York Post, Forbes, ABC, MSNBC, Newsweek, and even CNN reported on these protests occurring at school board meetings. Now that quarantine rules have been adjusted and my children are allowed to breathe again, it's time for me and parents across the nation to face the fact that critical race theory is currently being taught in our schools. How do I know this? The evidence is available in the agenda items, details in every HCPS board meeting. On June 29th, the board approved the annual Education Equity Update. On July 13th, board members approved the purchase of Second Step digital curriculum, which is partnered with Panorama Education. On August 12th, board members approved the Panorama survey platform that gathers data to understand and improve racial and cultural climates on the school campus. Now you may be asking, how is critical race theory currently being taught at HCPS schools? Last month, my 5th grader took 2 Panorama Education surveys. Today, my 7th grader has 2 surveys pending in Canvas, and Panorama surveys collect data. The questions in the survey include, how often do you spend time with students of different races, ethnicities, or cultures? How fairly do students and adults at your school treat people from different races, ethnicities, and cultures? And they ask background questions. So if my child does not spend an equal amount of time with students from different races, ethnicities, and cultures, what methods of education will be taken to correct their presumable racial biases? Introduce critical race theory curriculum. The parents in Loudoun County realize this. We need to wake up and figure it out too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Superintendent Davis, can we go ahead and make clarification on the teaching in our curriculum of critical race theory so we have a better understanding? Next, Jessica DuBois and Nicole next. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name's Jessica DuBois, co-chair of Hillsborough Public School Advocates. I had the opportunity to listen to some of the school board workshop this morning and want to thank some of the board members for recognizing the tireless efforts by our group to get more attention on the dire need for community schools. As an update to all of you, we as a group have been accepted into the Community School Institute, and we have a kickoff with 40+ community schools across the country to get access to playbooks, how to work with community members, and ask how to make this a true success for our students. I heard some resounding concern regarding funding in the workshop this morning. 3 things I want to highlight. If we follow the guidelines provided by the Community School Institute, we could get an influx of tens of thousands of dollars to fund another community school and possibly more down the road. 2, ARP ESSER $3 can be used towards community schools. And 3, This is an investment in our future. We need to find a way to allocate money towards this to invest in the future success of our students and our city. To propel the traction that we're having with community schools, we are asking this board to reinstate the in-person steering committee meeting for community schools and help us find additional community partners. I heard some concern about tapping on the same partners over and over again. But I also read Tampa is one of the top 10 fastest growing cities in the country in 2021. So businesses and families are flocking here. So let's get creative and find new possible investors. We ask that the board lean in with Hillsborough Public School advocates to make this a reality. Let's all remember the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Let's build a community model where all the needs of these students and families are met so they don't need to look at alternatives to HCPS. But let's not stop there. Let's think bigger. Let's build the city that we all want to live in, not for us, but for our children's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Nicole Fonajan, and then we'll go to the next 5. And good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. This is my first time here. I'm usually in the office or in the OR, so I've come after a busy day at the workplace to talk to you about comprehensive sexual education. I'm a mother of 3 kids in the Hillsborough County schools and also a gynecologist who's cared for women in our community for the last 15 plus years. I'm also part of a small group of dedicated doctor moms and USF med students who are working one elementary school at a time to provide age-appropriate information about healthy relationships and puberty to our 4th and 5th graders. These students, some of whose bodies are already changing, currently receive no sexual health education. As you know, more than 1 in 3 high school students will engage in sex by the time of graduation. If these students are not educated, they will suffer. Some of them will have sex for the wrong reasons. Some will get STIs, and some will even get pregnant. There's a simple way to mitigate this. It's through education. As you know, arming students with knowledge gives them power. This power can help them make informed decisions about their sexual health. Because ignorance about sexual health and sexuality can lead students to engage in unsafe behaviors, and these behaviors have public health consequences, schools ought to share in this responsibility of educating its students. The data are clear. Comprehensive sexual education in students results in students delaying their sexual debut. This, in my mind, is a win for all. I urge you, please, to approve the sexual health education curriculum. I also want to say one thing. Thank you for the mask mandate. It really works, and it has saved children's lives.
Thank you. We're going to go now to Joe Denica, Diana Williamson, and then Josephine Amato. And good afternoon.
Afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. As a parent of a kindergartner and a 3rd grader, I'm exhausted, and not because of the right reasons of being exhausted as a parent. My kindergartner in this school year alone has had 3 teachers as of Friday this year, and we're not even halfway through the school year. I'm just finding out about that this afternoon. My daughter is already behind coming off of a pandemic school year, and she's also now having to adjust to another teacher in their classroom management. I don't discredit what this administration and what this board is doing. I know you guys are working hard around the clock. However, I've heard this administration talk about the budget crisis it faces. I've seen teachers and staffing just let go or leave in troves. And I've seen my daughters struggle through it. There's no action or accountability that I can see as a parent, and it feels that things go on deaf ears or nothing happens. Programs such as HOST, which are revenue-generating programs for the school district, can bring in some funding, but yet we have wait lists for kids because of the lack of resources. And yet I hear that there is hiring coming from Kelly Services, but I still don't see it. My children are both still on a wait list for a program that is just an after-school program. Parents are going elsewhere for programs, such as tutoring and developmental programs, and I know this because I'm one of them. I'm paying out of my own pocket, and that's money that this district can actually put into their pockets if the programs and the planning are actually put in. So I ask you, just please, show your actions, communicate, and express the transparency, because right now, as a parent, I don't see it. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we'll hear from Diana Williamson.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm Diana Williamson. I live in District 5, and I would like to thank you, Shake Washington, for having somebody reach out to me after the last meeting I came to. I'm here because I'm concerned about District 5, that they don't have a middle school. I asked for public records, data. It wasn't given. I'm still waiting. What is the policy on that? Why don't we have a clear policy on when we're supposed to get public records? But I did hear the last board meeting that you had. I think I was told, it was said during that meeting that the board members were going to get that same data that Karen Perez asked for. So if it was available to you, why is it so hard to get to me? That's my one concern. Now, it's hard for me to break up all of the students and figure out how many students are being bussed all around because I don't know the data. So let's just go to one zip code, 33605. There is, from the last census, 1,143 students, well, children between 10 and 14 in that area. Those students that live in that area, let me go over the schools that are in that area. AMI Kids Tampa, hospital, homebound, home-based programs, DeSoto Elementary, Oak Park Elementary, Shore Elementary, Orange Grove Middle Magnets, Magnet School, Choice School, ESE birth through age 5, Washington Elementary School, Delia Sanchez Full Service School, Franklin Middle Magnet School, another magnet school, King's Academy, Academy Prep Center of Tampa. There's no middle school. Those students that live in that neighborhood, they are bused to McLean and Brandon. They are bused to Geico, whatever. It's in the news. You know about the school. Temple Terrace. They are bused to Madison, which is in South Tampa. They are bused to Gunta. They are bused to Man. This is a problem. Why don't you see it? I know you're doing something, but please advocate, do something more.
Thank you
That's
so
all.
much. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Josephine Amato. And good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Board. I wanted to speak to you guys today about our proclamation for our students with disabilities and the ADA. I really appreciate our district recognizing our diverse student population with special needs. I really want to thank Superintendent Davis for being true to his word and starting to create changes in our ESC department. Monica Vera Terrado also making changes in our ESC department, really putting our students first, and Dr. Pansy Houghton, who's our civil rights compliance officer, who really, truly puts our children first. But this is one step, and we have a long road ahead of us. And I want us to really start talking the data. So in our data, a 14.9% of our students with ESC, which is a total of 32,623 of our students, 25,772 of them are below state educational standards. 79% of our students in Hillsborough County Public Schools are below state educational standards. They are not all students with intellectual disabilities. We are failing them. And that's in English. In math, 76% of them are below state educational standards, and 77% of them are below science educational standards. For our military students, we have 4,160 military-connected students. As you know, I'm an advocate for military students with special needs. And 30% of our military students are below state educational standards. In English and math and science, we are failing those students. We need to do better. And I want a reality check for our entire district. 50% of our students are below state educational standards in English, 52% in math, 50% in science, and 35% in social studies. Those are hundreds of thousands of students. In English, 109 and 472 students are below state educational standards in English. Our children cannot read. The only superpower I have is I can read. Please, let's do better. Let's recognize the truth and move for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, that concludes our public comments, and now we're going to go into the proclamations. Member Vaughn, you'll be presenting the Disability History and Awareness Weeks, and if you'll begin.
Thank you, Chairwoman Gray. In 2008, the legislature declared the first 2 weeks in October be observed in public schools as Disability, History, and Awareness Weeks. Recognizing Disability, History, and Awareness Weeks allow us to appreciate the accomplishments of our students with disabilities, their families, teachers, and staff in Hillsborough County Public Schools. 1 of every 5 Americans is a person with disabilities. Florida started its first special education class in 1926, and since then, our state leads the nation in the percentage of students with disabilities receiving instruction with their peers without disabilities. More than 400,000 students identified with disabilities are participating in Florida's K-12 public education system and are working towards graduating and going on to post-secondary education or employment. And on a side note, I mentioned this last time, but it is also the Awareness Month for students with Down syndromes. And so I really appreciate this proclamation being added and for talking about our students with disabilities.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Perez, a second by Member Hahn. Will there be any discussion? Member Perez?
I thank you for bringing this proclamation to this district, especially as Member Member Vaughn. Now you guys got me doing this. Highlighting the fact that it is October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and this district embraces students that learn differently. So thank you, Member Vaughn, for including our Down Syndrome Month in this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Perez and Member Vaughn. Please vote when your lights are on. Member Snively? It's slow. Okay, it's unanimous. The next proclamation will be Member Perez, the LGBTQ and History Month. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. LGBTQ History Month. LGBTQ History Month was created in 1994 by a high school history teacher from Missouri. And October was selected because existing traditions such as Coming Out Day occurred that month. LGBTQ History Month encompasses a number of historically significant days to remind us all of the important roles LGBTQ people have taken in creating the social, legal, and political worlds we live in. As a school district, we recognize LGBTQ Month to renew our commitment to the struggle for equal rights for students and staff. We believe LGBTQ youth should feel safe to learn without fear of harassment. We encourage administrators, teachers, staff, parents, and students to take part in LGBTQ History Month in any way that is most positive and uplifting to their schools and communities. This month should also be a call to action to the citizens of Hillsborough County to work together to promote equal protection of all our students and staff, regardless of sexual orientation, gender expression, or gender identity.
Thank you, Member Perez. I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Perez, a second by Member Washington. Will there be any discussion? Member Vaughn and then Member Perez.
Thank you. I just wanted to say again, thank you for adding this proclamation. I think it's really important that we make sure we're fostering environments in our schools that are inclusive and that all of our students feel respected and included and valued. So I think this is really important, and I just really appreciate this being included. And Member Perez did a beautiful job reading it, so thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, Coming Out Day was celebrated on October 11th to coincide with the first and second marches on Washington in 1997 and 1987 for LGBTQ rights. And many of our students, have difficulty coming out because they don't have that support at home. So, their safety place is in Hillsborough County Schools. And I've placed on each of at the dais our Embrace All Diversity Ally. And also on the our cabinet members' desk as well. But yes, our students look for allies here in our community and in our Hillsborough County schools. And thank you for the support in this proclamation.
Thank you, Member Perez. And indeed, there should not be harassment, intimidation, certainly threats of violence towards another student, and the LGBT community needs to have the protection of all rights equal to every other student. So please vote when your lights are on. And it's unanimous. Thank you again, Member Perez. And the proclamation, actually, it's between a resolution and a proclamation, but we're calling it a proclamation. We talk about intimidation, we talk about harassment, and we talk about vandalism and possible acts of violence happening in our schools. So I just wanted to share this proclamation with our board, and then Superintendent Davis is also going to double down on the contents of this proclamation. Superintendent Davis, I will welcome your remarks as soon as I finish. Board members, please, if you would just pardon the length, it may go up to about 4 or 5 minutes. Whereas children today are influenced by a variety of social media platforms, and whereas our children are impressionable and are often eager to join and share in current trends and fads, even though it may result in making impulsive and poor decisions. And whereas on October 4th, 2021, the Office of the Attorney General said in recent months they have seen a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence, not only against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. And whereas the Attorney General's office said these threats against public servants are not only illegal, they run counter to our nation's core values. Those who dedicate their time and energy to ensuring that our children receive a proper education in a safe environment deserve to be able to do their work without fear for their safety. And whereas Hillsborough County Public Schools is taking a strong stance against students who exhibit negative behaviors and engage in dangerous acts of aggression against fellow classmates, staff, or school facilities, and whereas in an effort to redirect these behaviors and ensure the safety and security of our students, staff, and schools, we will join districts across the nation in helping students understand the benefits and dangers of using social media, and whereas the district will be strictly enforcing the Hillsborough County Public Schools Student Code of Conduct as it relates to social media, disruption of campus, aggravated battery, and vandalism. Therefore, let it be proclaimed on this 19th day of October 2021, the School Board of Hillsborough County, Florida, encourages our students to think before they act or post on social media, and asks all families to partner with us as we navigate children through these challenging times. I need a motion and a second to approve social media use and aggression on campus. I have a motion by Member Snively and a second by Member Washington. Discussion, if you don't mind, board members, I wanted Superintendent Davis to have the opportunity to speak on this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, to the chair. Thank you so very much, Chair Gray, for bringing this as a priority and a proclamation to the board to be able to announce and to accept and move forward. One thing that we've seen, as students have transitioned back to our hallways, and we're so glad that we have opened up our schools to be able to serve our children, but we've seen so much of what the pandemic has caused, whether it be mental health, whether it be trauma, whether it be the inability to interact with their peers in a positive, proactive manner, and not only from peer to peer, but also the interactions we're seeing from our students to our adults, whether it be our non-instructional staff, our instructional staff, at the same token, our administrators. And one thing that I will say as a leader, it will not be tolerated. We know that we see these TikTok challenges that are being put out there from a nationwide perspective, whether it's vandalizing our restrooms, vandalizing signs, vandalizing our front offices, being able to cause battery or enact battery on another peer or an employee. It's just not going to be accepted in this umbrella. We have got to get to a point, and I was very clear when I sent out a letter to our parents last week, and also to our teachers in the same token, addressed it at our principals meeting, and assistant principals meeting. We're going to take a zero tolerance approach to be able to address this. And in that process, I've asked parents to be very mindful of students' social media, to really have touch points every single day and have parent controls of what social media platforms their learner is interacting with, and have parents share. And the PTA did a really good job of Florida being able to share a document that unpacks all the social media platforms that students are interacting with and how to put controls on those particular outlets. But I would say this to our parents who are watching: please reclaim time to be able, and establish time to be able to interact with your children every single day about their educational experiences and what they're going through with their peers, and how they're going through and what they're going through just being, a young learner within our school district, and help with ask questions about and review social media so we can address this collectively. So overall, our principals and assistant principals and staff stand ready, and we'll continue to not only address the issues with our students, but also rehabilitate their mindsets to continue to make systemic sound decisions.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis, and the board is behind you. Board members, would you like any comments to be made at this time? Okay, well, please vote when your lights are on. And it's unanimous. Thank you, board members. We have a time certain right now opportunity, so we'll use it right now. We're a little bit late, but not too late. We'll have a public hearing. Public hearing on the adoption of revised policies adoption process. This is a requirement pursuant to state law and board policy. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to speak about the policies that are recommended for adoption by the board and to provide input to the board. The policies were advertised and have been available for public review. I will now ask our attorney, Mr. Jim Porter, to highlight this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Board members, you'll recall this round of policies were the ones that you've approved through a workshop. They've been vetted. Some were introduced by staff, some were introduced by board members, but these are the ones that the board had consensus on moving forward. This is the official public hearing, so you should ask if any member of the public would like to speak, and then if the board members have any questions, then you can vote on the policies.
At this time, do we have anyone signed up who would like to speak regarding our policies? Go ahead, Ms. Castano. Ms. Amato, you're first. Okay, all right. Well, we can flip a coin, I guess. Okay, whoever. Go ahead, let's make it snappy. Looks like Ms. Castano is going to be the first one. All right. And welcome.
Hello again. I'm asking that you please have a lobbyist sign-in, like the BOCC set as policy. There are many ethical dilemmas to lobbying, especially when lobbyists undermine the fairness and transparency of processes that do not contribute to the common good. I'm going to end my speech and make it quick and just say Ralph Arza comes here frequently. We want to know when he's coming. He's undermining the common good of traditional public schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castano. Ms. Amato? I'm sorry?
There's a sign.
Okay. Ms. Amato, come forward.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the policy being put up. My comments on the policies are, a lot of our policies aren't on the website, and they are not available. So we have the amendment, and then the updates take a long time to get uploaded. I find myself having to do a public information request on all policies to confirm whether they exist or don't exist. My other concerns about policies is I think it's really important for our staff to actually read all of our policies. I find myself having to send staff our own policies that the school board has approved, and having to actually advocate for our own staff to follow our policies. And I think it's really important that, I know we're short-staffed, and I really appreciate everyone in our district serving our children and being here as a community for our children. All of our children attend these schools. So I know I'm not speaking about a stranger. We're speaking about our neighbors who are part of our staff and our parents who are part of our staff. But they are not given the opportunity to know all of our policies, and they don't have planning time even. But it's really important when a parent goes and advocates for their student, especially their student with disability, that they're aware of the written policy by the school board. I actually had to read policies to our staff members, and they didn't agree. And I said, well, it's the board policy. So I think that's really important. I appreciate the public meetings and having everything posted on time, and you guys working really hard on fixing some of our policies. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ms. Amato, and we've taken note on your comments. Mr. Porter, would you like to continue?
Just briefly to address Ms. Castano's concerns, you are voting on policy 6321 tonight, which deals with lobbyist registration. That's an existing policy that, at the request of several board members, has been amended to more closely mirror the Hillsborough County Commission lobbyist registry. So that is something you're voting on tonight.
Okay, thank you. Board members, do you have any comments? Okay, I need a, oh, I'm sorry. Member Snively?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this actually made me think about this particular policy with regard to student privacy and parental access to information. And so the comment that was made by the parent about the survey that was being given to students with regard to finding out how much time they spend with students of other ethnic backgrounds and racial diversity. So what happens to that information? Where does that go? Who collects that? What's the purpose of it? Does this prohibit those types of surveys without parental consent?
I'll have to look deeper into the policy to determine if it prevents any parent opting out of a survey. A parent can opt out of a survey currently now if they elect not to engage with it, whether it be a use risk survey, whether it be a panorama survey. All those options are afforded.
Right. Well, we have to know when they're having surveys, because I don't get notified for every single survey that my child takes at school. So there's a communication issue there.
I can look at the process and with staff and determine if that's uploaded in Canvas or not, and for an information item of when the survey window opens, so it communicates with staff and with community, and then we can also look with communications and push that information out.
Because I would like that policy to be all the surveys that we give out to students with regard, whatever it's within regard to, needs to be vetted against that policy, so that we are not data mining and giving that information out to anybody else.
We are not.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because then on the second half of that, which I can get with you later, I'd like to know where that information is going, what's it for, what's the purpose of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Snively. Member Washington?
Yeah, Member Snively, you just answered my question. Because Superintendent, Mr. Superintendent, what was the purpose of that survey?
The overall panorama is really just to better understand how students engage with their schools and how if they feel supported, if they feel safe, their overall interactions, and for us to have a better understanding, I say teachers to have a better understanding of what ongoing supports they can do to refine and gain access to students where they feel welcomed, where they feel that they're actively engaged every single day, and just looking at the psyche or well-being of the learner and the overall their overall interaction. So it's more of a touch point for us to continue to make certain that we're reflective about students' viewpoints, and that information is not used or leveraged outside of our school district.
Okay, because they have to be careful when they send out surveys like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Very good points. I'm listening, and yeah, we definitely have to know. The board members have to know when surveys are out for sure. Thank you, Member Snively, Member Washington, and Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to excuse me. Let me close the public hearings. Close the public hearing. I need a motion and a second to adopt the policies. I have a motion by Member Combs, a second by Member Washington. Any discussion that's further than what we discussed? If not, please vote when your lights are on. And it is unanimous, and the policy cycle that we shared is finalized. Right now, we're going to reverse, and we're going to go into the superintendent comments. First off, by the way, everybody, we do have to say that we agree with the consent agenda. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion by, I still need a motion, board members, a motion by Member Snively. I need a second by Member Vaughn. And please vote when the lights are on. And this is regarding the consent agenda only. Okay, there we go. It's unanimous. Superintendent Davis, it's your turn to make your comments, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair, thank you so very much. Tonight's objective, just to acknowledge some celebrations within our school district, to identify, the great work that our wellness program has been an initiative in Hillsborough County. At the same token, highlight some of our leaders and our business partners and district staff that have been nominated for the Accelerate Hillsborough recognitions. As you know, that in the last few weeks, we sent out a communication to all of our stakeholders to identify community partners, to identify leaders, teachers, non-instructional staff, to nominate those who really go over and beyond and are doing something special within our school district. So tonight is a first step to recognize those individuals. But before we do that, I want to recognize the work that has been implemented by Dr. Schatzberg. Her and Dr. Whalen did a really nice job related to making certain that we have a healthy workspace. And we've been recognized as one of the nation's most respected resource for building high-performing, healthy workplace. We've been recognized for the gold level for our status for movement of, Go 365 employee assistance program, our wellness policies, and we're one of only 26 organizations in the United States to receive this award in 2021. So hats off to our team who continue to make this a priority as we've been identified as a well workplace and identified as gold status, which is awesome. In addition to that, the American Heart Association Workplace Health Achievement, we've also been recognized for them for our ability to continue to evaluate quality and effectiveness of our workplace as well. Last year, we were identified as a silver status in 2020, and this year we moved the needle to continue to be responsive in our workplace and moved it to obtain a gold status in 2021. And this is companies that had previously received this designation as, IBM, Humana, AT&T, and other really large corporations that have been recognized for their continued work. And once again, this is an effort, a cohesive effort for all of our staff members, our district members who've made this a priority to make certain we continue to support the American Heart Association, those students and community members in need within our organization. And then you may know this this individual. This is Melissa Margado. She's our supervisor of world language of K-12. Me and Ms. Perez was with her the other day. She spearheads so much for our students within our educational community. We got a chance to go to Reddick to be able to address a dual language multiple classrooms, to be able to read to them. I did the English side of it. Ms. Perez did the Spanish side of it, and I know a number of you did a lot of things as well. But Mrs. Morgado is really a true advocate and a genuine leader within the school district. She goes over and beyond, and she's been recognized as a Florida 2021 Latino Leader recognition. She is a 2021 Florida Latina Lourdes Award. She has done really amazing elements within our school district and continues to be a champion for young Latinas. So thank you for her efforts, and we see her. Please acknowledge her for her continued hard work. In addition to this, Mrs. Drucy Diaz Phelps, our program advisor for adult education during Hispanic Heritage Month, was also recognized for a Viva Tampa Bay Hispanic Heritage Award, which recognizes her continued outlook for being able to help our Hispanic and Latino Americans within our community. She goes over and beyond, so we really appreciate her efforts and her hard work and recognize her for what she does in Hillsborough County Public Schools. And then for our Accelerate Hillsborough, we talk about together we make a difference. And we have Miss Anne Marie Courtney, who continues to help us really create an environment of recognitions to really address, and thank those individuals who work hard for our students and our communities every single day. And today we have our first partner who has been recognized as, a first partner to been recognized as the Accelerate Hillsborough Community Partner. This partner is Feeding America Tampa Bay. They really support our initiatives in our school district, in our strategic plan for supporting the whole child, for really focusing on strengthening our community engagement and really engaging our collaboration. What they've done for us during this pandemic has been heroic, and we really want to thank them for everything they've done. We have Clarissa Rain here this evening. At the same time, we have Shannon Hannon Oliveira. Did I do it right? Okay, that with our this organization, they do so much for us. And as you can see, the pantries they continue to fill, 23 pantries district-wide, continue to educate our students, continue to educate our teachers and our families about nutrition and wellness and how to have that accessibility. And they work tirelessly on behalf of our children. So thank you so very much. And you've been recognized as our partner for this month of October. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Continue to be champions for our children. Also, we want to recognize, leaders within our school district, and all these corporations, these partners, and these leaders. They were recognized and nominated by our staff, and it's my role and responsibility to go through a number of these awards and these nominations to select individuals that have been identified as game changers. We got a chance to hear from Dr. Haley Brown this morning related to communities and schools, but she continues to support our strategic plan, our initiative by creating a supportive environment, making certain that she creates quality for all of our students with innovation and engaging stakeholders. And this nomination describes Mrs. Brown as caring, loving, as humble, as a pusher, driven, as a fighter, as straightforward, and she's described also all those things as sunshine. So the nominee, I can tell you, she's about the business. She is really focused. She is driven. She's done some really good things with Mort, and also we had constituents talk about communities and schools. She continues to be a model. Tonight we recognize you as one of our first leaders to Accelerate Hillsborough, so thank you so very much for your continued hard work. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so very much. In addition to that, we got a nominee for so many great leaders, and when I'm supposed to select one, I selected three. I'm sorry. And we had a chance to. This is Amanda Steele. She's the assistant principal at West Chase Elementary School. Once again, Amanda's nominee and nomination talked about her ability to go over and beyond in the school district and really face some really challenging times. But while we are here with difficulties, the nomination package. It was all about how you bring positivity to your staff, how you bring cohesiveness, how you continue to work and willing to have conversations to move not only performance but also the mental health side of the work. You were charged with a very difficult task of coming back to the school year, but you have rolled up your sleeves and been described as impactful in your community. So thank you for everything that you do and being recognized as Accelerate Hillsborough School Leader of the Month. Congratulations. Give a round of applause. Thank you. She better come up, Mom. Come up. Thank you. Congratulations. Keep working hard. And then lastly, we have Josh Hodges. He continues to, at Miles Elementary School, he is really about being creative, innovative in his solution, and really create a mindset of problem solving. And I interact with Josh too. He always thinks about cutting edge ways to provide services to our children, or really being able to create a culture that's conducive to learning every single day. And he's all about creating equity, within our school district. He focuses on really being impactful and really leveraging his team, his shared decision team, his instructional impact team. And they say he's a mastering at hiring strong leaders that continue to push him, that are, to create the best environment possible. So, Mr. Hodges wasn't able to be with us tonight, but he's also described as a great educator, a great communicator. But let's give him a round of applause for being Accelerate Hillsborough Leader of the Month. And then finally, so that wraps up our leaders. Thank you for everyone that submitted nominations. Please continue to do so. For every month, we'll continue to identify a leader, a business partner. In our next school board meeting, we'll be able to identify an instructor and non-instructional staff member to really make sure we highlight it. And next, for the board, is my role and responsibility is to bring the board up to speed of where we are with U.S. Census information and data and potential school board redistricting. We know that every 10 years this data is captured. This data was captured in 2020. It was projected to be released in the spring of 2021. As we know, due with COVID and some other barriers that existed with capturing this information, this was delayed, and we just recently obtained this information related to the school board. And openly, what this does is really look at, there's a statute that's 100136 that requires school boards members to have a equally represented population within our community. And then our role and responsibility is to be able to determine whether we have two options right now for the board. The first option is to complete a school board redistricting now, and we have until December the 31st to be able to get that accomplished. Or the second option would be to push this back to 2023 to be able to redistrict. So tonight just need some guidance from the board to be able to address this and how you want staff to be able to move forward.
Board members, I just need to add, Mr. Davis did a good job of summarizing what the statute requires. I wanted to give you sort of an update on the timeline. You'll recall that at the July 27th board meeting, I provided an update on what the status was. And then on September 21st, you received another update. We received the census data from Hillsborough County on September 28th, and that took some time to process. The statute does not require you to redistrict. People are conflating the school board's role with the county commission. County commissions in Florida have to redistrict every 10 years when the census data is released. School boards may redistrict on any odd number year. So it's not driven necessarily by the census, but what Mr. Davis referenced was equal representation. So when the census data comes out and it shows, and this isn't in the statute, but this is in the case law and sort of how the laws come down, when there's more of a 10% disparity in representation, then it's probably a good idea to redistrict. And that's what the data has shown that we received on September 28th, that there is in certain districts, well, all of your districts have grown, let's start with that, because of the population growth in Hillsborough County, but certain districts grew more than others. That suggests that from a legal perspective, the safest thing to do would be to try to accomplish a redistricting this year. Again, you're not obligated to legally. From a legal perspective, it's the more conservative thing to do it, to correct the disparity in the population in the respective districts. With that in mind, we do have to have it done by December 31st. because it has to be done in an odd number year. So that's sort of where we are from a legal perspective.
So for clarification, Superintendent Davis and Mr. Porter, you need consensus from the board to move forward? Is that what we're looking for?
That is correct.
Okay, so board members, of course, you can speak on any tenant that the Superintendent Davis shared, but it looks like we need to have a little bit of direction for.
This is not something that requires a vote, and it shouldn't be voted on. This wasn't on the agenda as an agenda item, so votes. But I think having the board have a discussion about it is appropriate to give, and the superintendent provided you with the different options are.
Okay, board members, in the spirit of getting consensus, we have Member Combs.
Thank you so much. I definitely think we need to move forward. If we're looking at 2 years from now, if we look at the census from 10 years ago, from my understanding and my research, we could be legally bound to make sure that it really represents the number of population, the population, the ethnicities and everything are really balanced throughout our district. So I don't want to wait 2 years. I think this is very important that we do this. We need to do this now. I would like to do it at the same time as the BOCC and other groups do that. I don't know what the delay would be. So I am strongly for redistricting at this time.
Okay, thank you, Member Combs. Member Washington.
Mr. Porter, I have a couple of questions here. The first one is, when we redistrict, are we adding or taking away?
So the goal would be to have all 5 single-member districts be roughly equal in proportion. And given the population of Hillsborough County, that number looks to be around 291,000 per district. So the goal would be to have all the districts about equal in population. And right now they're not. Right now certain districts have way more people than other districts do.
Okay, so it's a possibility we could lose some of my district.
You would probably, your district grew, but not a lot, so your district might change, but the minority representation is embedded in federal law, and so that would be protected. Your district would be looked at very carefully, just as the county commission district. That's the equivalent of District 3 in Hillsborough County. And the maps that are drawn there protect that minority vote that is critical in federal civil rights laws. So your district could look differently. You would probably gain people because some of the other districts grew larger and they would have to shrink, and yours would probably grow a little bit.
Okay, good, because I like to keep my district. If we gain some, that's fine.
So, Member Washington, are you committed to the process?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking probably at various maps as the BOCC has, and also a workshop that I'm just putting out a scenario. So you're not going to have a sudden decision without knowledge. Okay, then we have Member Perez.
You just spoke about a workshop. I was going to request a special board meeting because we don't have a lot of time to get this taken care of.
Yeah, board members, if the consensus is to go forward, we'll establish a timeline for you, and it probably will have to result in some sort of special call board meeting because you only have one meeting in November. It's a reorganization meeting. You have holidays, so that if the movement is to go forward, we'll figure that out and build that in. Member Perez.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, we're running out of time. So thanks, Member Perez. Member Vaughn? Oh, Member Perez, are you wanting to move forward? Okay. All right. Member Vaughn?
Thank you. I just want to state that I agree that I know it's not a lot of time, and that's frustrating, but I think we have some good people and maps that we can rely on, and at the end, the board will be able to vote on it. But I do think that it does, from my understanding, and I could be wrong because this is all very complicated, put us in a liability for not doing it within this election year. So I would also like to do it within this year.
Okay, that's a consent. Thank you, Member Vaughn, Member Hahn, and then Member Snively.
Thank you, Member Gray. I also have some questions. So, how many meetings do we need to have before we would vote on do the final vote? Is there something that's in the state statute?
Statute requires a resolution. Different districts do it differently. So technically, we would want to have 2, but we would legally be required to have 1. So just do it by resolution. The statute says, and I'll read the statute so it's on the record.
Thank you.
Let's see. Any district school board may make any changes that it deems necessary in the boundaries of any district school board at any meeting of the district school board, provided that such changes shall be made only in an odd number of years. So it really could be done at any board meeting and with the proper notice required. So, and by resolution.
And I know there's been some comments around a potential lawsuit if we don't do it by December 31st. But if we demonstrated good faith and started the process with the intent of carrying it through the next year, do you think that that would kind of,
Well,
negate any type of legal or put us in a safer position legally?
so again, the statute is silent on whether we have to do it or not. And the statute does not provide a 10% trigger. That's sort of embedded in cases that have come down. So to your point, Member Hahn, I think if the board wanted to start the process now but not finish it until 2023, we would certainly make that a defense if we were challenged. There's no guarantee that we would be challenged, but there is a risk, a legal risk, that if given the numbers, that if we don't do it, we will be. But that would certainly be part of our defense, that the board, number one, received the data later than we anticipated, that the board has been dealing with a number of issues that were very weighty to keep schools open, and that we're not required under the statute to do it. So certainly we would provide defenses, but there is a risk.
Right. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to see if it would, if you show good faith and you're starting the process and we start it this December and end it the following December, it would give us a year. My concern is, mostly that we're rushing this. You mentioned that you did discuss this at the July and September board meetings, and there didn't seem to be this urgency or concern that we start the process, where the county commission had started the process back in August, September. So, that I find that to be kind of a little surprising that now at the 11th hour we have board members that are feeling that this is urgent and strongly encouraging it. The community has been very clear over the last year, really, around all different issues with their frustration with this board and leadership of this district really making an emergency out of everything, a rush decision out of everything. And they have clearly said on many occasions that they want us to be thoughtful and intentional. And it puts our leadership into question when we decide to rush things like this. We need to collect data. We need to hear from our constituents and get community input. And I will guarantee that in our rush to do this in a month and a half at best, there will be things overlooked and there will be unforeseen consequences. And that once again, we're going to create this chaos in our district and community because we are rushing. I understand the legal implications, but I also think that if we show good faith, that we start the process now, that we put an RFP out, that we hire a firm to help us with this. And now I'm hearing, well, we could use the BOCC maps. The BOCC is a different board. They have different maps. They have a different number of board members. And it is our responsibility to create our maps, not just say at the 11th hour, well, let's just take what the BOCC does and kind of, somehow massage it to make us fit our school district. So I just think this seems very chaotic once again. And if there was this much concern over it, I would have thought that my colleagues would have brought this up back in July and September. I would have thought that if it was so important legally that Mr. Porter, well, you did bring it up, so I'll say the superintendent, you didn't revisit this topic in July or August or September and say, these are the implications, and I really strongly encourage that we get an RFP put in place and we start this process, and to now come to the board and bring this and have board members say that this is strongly recommended and we must do this, I'm a little, I'm going to be honest with my colleagues, a little caught off guard about this about face at the last minute, and it concerns me from a leadership perspective. And so I'm not supporting that we do it now. I would rather wait till 2023, do it the right way without any error, and make sure that we do its best for our board and our district, and not be, influenced by outside organizations or elected officials. I think that this is a very important task that we'll be undertaking. And I guess my question to the superintendent is, what benefit for the district or students will this have that it requires accelerating this process at the last minute, other than the lawsuit? I mean, I understand that, but I also understand that if we show that we're making, demonstrating good faith, that could strongly negate anybody coming after us legally.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair, right now, related to this whole process, it doesn't impact positive. I mean, when it doesn't impact the performance.
Doesn't impact the day-to-day of our
students and supporting teachers, supporting staff, recruiting. It does not. I will say that staff started this process in May. They started to research the possibilities of redistricting. In July, we connected with the school urban planning group to evaluate the landscape, started to transition to receive more data in August and September. And also staff met with each board member to be able to talk about the process. And through staff, to me, the lens was there wasn't an appetite at that particular time. So, for us, we will, I'll take direction in reference to what we'll need to do. Well, if we're going to move this now, we'll have to lean on the BOCC, because they do have a technical assistance with a GIS staff that could help us accelerate it and meet the timeline.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's very sad that we're so late to the game on this, that we have to rely on on the BOCC. I just think it speaks to the leadership and on this board and with the superintendent, and it's disappointing. So that's where I stand. Again, I'm a little surprised that all of a sudden this is a big push, but certainly that I will respect the will of the board. But I just wanted to put my comments on the record, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Member Snively?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have similar sentiments of Dr. Hahn. She articulated them very well. I believe this is coming out of left field to a degree, because up until yesterday, there was not an appetite for this board to accelerate this process and move forward. As Dr. Hahn mentioned, we were notified in earlier this year, July, then August, then September, and now we're in October, and our backs are against the wall to quickly reappropriate our seats. And, to be very candid, this impacts Dr. Hahn and myself specifically for the next election cycle. So I just find it very curious that all of a sudden this has become an emergency. And I also, too, will respect the will of my colleagues, but also hope that the influence of outside organizations, as previously mentioned, is not impacting the decision that this board is making tonight. Because on a perception level, the optics do not appear favorable with regard to that. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'll make that very clear on the record. I'm just saying that perception is sometimes a person's reality. And for the fact that this is all of a sudden an potential legal issue, I will say that I know that Mr. Porter has brought this forth to the board on a few occasions now. I have never necessarily heard it to be a legal pressing situation until now. I know that had to do with the conversation you had with Mr. Latimer at the Supervisor of Elections office. However, I do also agree that perhaps that could be mitigated by our efforts to move this forward and with good intention of having it completed by the 2023 odd number year. So, to recap, I am not in favor of rushing through this. I don't think it presents good leadership by the board or the superintendent. I think it will create more discontent and lack of trust by the public by pushing this through in such a rushed way. And I think we should take our time and do it the right way and let the public know that we are open to doing it carefully and transparently and allowing the public to see the process from step one to the end by taking it a very cautious and careful path. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Snively. Member Combs?
Yeah, as somebody who is in a district that has not grown compared to other districts in the area, and I am very active out in my schools, I feel that I could do a better job if my area has grown. I look at my district, and my district is one of the few districts that is really, not representing the rest of the county as far as size, population. So for me, it has nothing to do with political. It has nothing to do with elections. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the representation of people. So my question is, we worry so much about the legal implications of masks when we know that this is based on the census. So, Mr. Porter, my question to you is, typically, how long does this take? And from my research and from my understanding, usually it's not a long, drawn out 2.5-year process or anything like that. I would rather be in compliance and we still have 2.5 months than not be in compliance and wait 2.5 years, because I think it's very unfair for schools and individuals in our population that aren't being represented properly. So as two areas of Hillsborough have really grown, my area has not grown. I should be representing a much broader area. And so I think that's very important. So it's really about representing our constituents and representing the population and representing the schools. So for me, I know the other day when my secretary was looking at the schools and she said, wow, Shake has so much more than you. And I said, yeah, and I would love to have more schools because I have the bandwidth to go out there, but I'm not able to because, I can go out there, but I'm not really representing that. So it's really about not waiting another 2.5 years not to have balanced representation just because we feel like we're rushing it, which honestly, from my research, it doesn't take a great deal of time, especially if we've already have some maps. It will give us a chance to look at them and change on them. And I can tell you for certainty, for me, it's not political. It's really about representing our constituents and representing our students.
The question has been asked, Mr. Porter. How long does it take?
We have till the December 31st to have it done, and so the superintendent has committed to make it happen if that's the board's will.
Do you feel like that is rushed or?
It would have been nicer to start earlier, but the superintendent has committed that this can be done, and I think we'll have to lean on our partners at the Planning Commission and at the County Commission, who has been pointed out, have created some maps. Now, it's really important to understand, and Dr. Hahn said this very well, you're not the County Commission. There are major differences. One, they have only 4 districts, and the school board has 5. But they are considering 3 maps that are published, and you all can see them online, that sort of give an indication of where the lines could be drawn. So I think that's a starting point that would be helpful. The other difference is the county has a very robust GIS department. The school district has no GIS department. So it would be a question of staff resources and allocation, but again, the superintendent has committed that it can be done, and that's sort of the direction the board has given, and so that will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. Member Perez?
Can there be town halls during that 30-day period?
They're not required, but that would be something that you should seriously consider to get input from the public, yes.
So I just want to get something straight. So redistricting must happen in 2021 because currently the map has a 20% population variance, right?
So it's again, it has to happen in an odd year.
Mhm.
Census data, again, the district didn't get the census data that showed the huge amounts of disparity until September 28th, and that's an important part of this conversation. So the numbers, again, all the districts grew. Ms. Perez, of course, you and Ms. Gray are district-wide, but all the districts grew, but they didn't grow equally. And so as a result, the sheer population numbers are off. And some districts have more people in them than others. And that violates in spirit the idea that every person should have equal representation. That's sort of the legal perception or the legal theory that's really at play. So that's what the maps and the data showed that we received on the 28th. You'll recall that, again, there's been a lot of confusion in the community because the county commission has been redistricting for a while because they have to. And a lot of you were receiving questions and phone calls about whether we had to. And the advice I had given and continue to give is you don't have to. If the population disparity is great enough, then you probably should. So that's sort of the difference. The other thing that's important, no sitting board member is affected by redistricting changes. At the county, every board member has to run again in 2022 except for the chair. So that's another, this would affect elections going forward, but it doesn't mean if you're not up for re-election that you have to run again. It's again, a different statute and a different legal framework than the county has. And there has been a lot of confusion in the community because of the county being really out front with this.
So more than a 10% variation is not legal, correct?
Again, it's that's not in the statute, Member Perez, but it suggests that you should look at it at that point when there's more of a 10%. That's sort of the trigger that's been embedded in case law. So that's what we're going by. Again, the statute itself doesn't specify that. So it's a legal nuance, but I think it's important to have on the record.
Because I know in New Tampa, it has grown tremendously up in New Tampa. Families have moved up there. You know, just that population demographics has changed considerably. You know, just in that area alone, I know I have seen a major population boom. So, you know, for me, I would go with this year, to be honest.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Vaughn?
Thank you. First of all, I just kind of want to address the surprise from my colleagues because I have been openly asking about this, not specifically at board meetings, but very consistently to Mr. Porter, and was told, first of all, that until we got the census data in September, we wouldn't know if we had to redistrict. So until I was continually told that we had to wait till we got census data that we didn't get till when?
September 28th.
Okay, so a week, 2-3 weeks ago. And at that point, I was still not under the understanding, because as he's mentioned, there's been very different informations and understanding of the law that it had to be done by year end. And in fact, the first time that I understood that was maybe last week on the phone, where immediately I said to Mr. Porter that I would like to set up a meeting about this. So as far as any outside agenda of having to rush this redistricting, it affects all of us who are single member districts, because we're not going to do this again before 2024. So how we draw these maps don't just affect the people who are up for the election in the upcoming year, it affects all of us. So there's nothing specifically aimed at any people who are up for re-election this year. For and I can't speak for other board members, for me having a sense of urgency is I was not informed and understanding of the process, that it was such a drastic shift that we had to do this statutorily, and we didn't get the information until September. So as far as anything, going on to be partisan or to say that we're trying to do, or I'm trying to do something that's sudden, I think is unfair, because I have been trying to address this for a long time and just got the most recent information. And that's why there's a sense of urgency as far as I'm concerned. Also, as far as, talk is outside, organizations influencing us. In the past few months, we've talked about a lot of different issues where there have been a lot of outside organizations who have influenced members' comments and votes. So I don't think that it's fair to try to point to outside organizations now that we're having this conversation. But I do think that I've looked at maps and tried to understand the districts and GPSing, and I don't think that there's a huge amount of options that we could have. So my concern in rushing the process isn't the fidelity that we would have it done with as far as being able to redraw the districts. I don't think there's that much flexibility in that, especially if we have to keep the integrity of member Washington districts. My concern is about community engagement. And I do agree that I want to make sure that the community feels like they have an input in this and that they are attached to the process. So if the superintendent says that he feels that he can get this done by December for the lack of information that we're just now getting it, I'd like to really understand that community engagement piece, because that's the piece that I'm concerned about.
Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am, to the chair. So openly, we will work with the BOC. We have to work with BOC's GIS staff to get this done. It will be, to Dr. Hahn's point, another accelerated timeline, and they could potentially get a little bit messy. We will work diligently, though, to get it done as best as we can. We have to build a timeline. We're not prepared for a timeline this evening, but as soon as we have guidance this evening, we will build a timeline, and that's going to have to be inclusive of some community meetings. So. And I would say whether that's 1 or 2 meetings, we have to determine, but we're going to have to engage the community on this process and then bring the board back a number of options to be able to make sound decisions of which option that you feel most comfortable with.
And can I ask another question?
Yes, go
Can we
ahead.
go through the process, and if the board doesn't like the way that the process turned out and we're not happy on the maps, even though we go through the process, can we vote at that time, if we're not happy, to delay it and go on to the next year? If we go through the process and there are some concerns with fidelity, at that point, can we not? So we can still move forward with this process on this timeline, see how it works, and at the end, if we're not happy, delay it and go on to the next year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
And these are important questions, and what we're really looking for is the consensus and the guidance from the board to move forward. It will be a few steps, obviously. So, I know that Member Washington wants to speak, as does Member Hahn, but eventually we're going to have to go ahead and we're hearing the voices from the board. I think you're getting the message, Superintendent Davis. Member Washington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Porter, do we have any history of how we did it before?
So the last time this was done was 2011, and there are no one on staff was involved with it at that time. So and we couldn't find any. Ms. Dickerson looked for records, and there don't appear to be any records that she could find anyway about how the district has done it in the past.
Okay, because my mindset is maybe we know, because we know quite a few people who were around during that time. Maybe we could get some information to see how.
Yeah, Ms. Dickerson has been diligently looking for that, and the files are not, they don't appear to be anywhere that she can find. So, but I think that's a good point, and I'm sure Mr. Farkas could maybe reach out to some of the people that have been here in the past and see if they have any guidance for us.
Yeah, because this process is really stressful, because it's different, because people are running, like you said, it may not affect the people who are running for office now, but we want to make sure that we do it right. And something else I want to add too. Do we have to go outside and get someone, or see? I need to know. I mean, have we done it before inside?
You may go outside. That would, or you can do it in-house. Either way, I think the problem with going outside now is just the timeline of trying to accomplish that.
We go outside. There's more money we're spending, but we have to do what we need to do. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'm just going to tune in just a tad here. Not much. I think the population shift and the large amount of growth have necessitated a relook. And I'll be perfectly frank too. I feel like we haven't been informed enough, perhaps, and I'm going to just take the blame for myself. Maybe I should have asked more questions, but truly just a few weeks ago, we did get the information in terms of the census, but I don't think there's any harm in beginning the process, and that would go along with what I'm hearing, because if we start it and we lay out the town hall meetings, whatever, there's never harm in town hall meetings, Superintendent Davis. That's communication. So there's never harm in starting the process, and then I think as we learn, we can mitigate and decide should we continue. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead. Member Hahn wants to speak, and then I think the direction is being shared with Superintendent Davis pretty clear. Oh, Member Hahn, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Member Gray. Appreciate it. You know, I understand that, well, first let me go back and just say this is a surprise to me because Ms. Vaughn, you said you spoke with Mr. Porter behind closed doors, but it wasn't spoken about at board meetings. So yes, I am surprised because I don't know what you're talking about with him behind closed doors. So don't be surprised that I'm surprised because we haven't talked about it at a board meeting in this depth of a conversation, and we probably should have. But I, in my conversations, like you with the superintendent, was assured that it was not moving forward. So this is very disappointing. Again, speaks to leadership. And yes, the census data came on September 28th. However, if we had back in July when Mr. Porter first kind of brought this to the board and there was no discussion, at that time we could have said, look, if we did have an appetite, we know that the census data isn't coming until September. However, there are some things that we can put in place so when the data does come, we can hit the ground running. For example, we could have put an RFP out to get some consulting to help us draw our maps. We could have set up a workshop and been legally briefed on the state statutes, the processes, the procedures. So there were some very productive things that this board should have done if we were really serious about moving this forward. So that is concerning to me. So to say that, well, the data didn't come till September, we really couldn't have done anything until then, we wouldn't have been in a much different situation, is not really the case, in my opinion. Mr. Porter, if we started this process over the next year, we would be voting on it then in December of 2022.
No. You cannot change.
I mean, in December of 2020, let me rephrase my question to be clear. Sorry. Would we have to wait until December of 23, or could we vote on it sooner than that?
You could vote on it any time in 2023. Including
Okay, so to Ms. Combs's point, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a 2.5-year wait, you stall. I mean, it could be sooner.
Yes, it just can't be in 2022.
Okay. Well, again, I think I've just made my concerns really clear, and I'm going to stand with my recommendation of not pursuing it at this time. But I, again, will support the will of the board at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hahn. And board members, I appreciate you sharing your forward action as well. Superintendent Davis, do you have enough guidance to begin, or would you like to get any more knowledge from us?
I just want to make certain that that the majority is ready to go to move forward with this so we can start our timeline.
I would say the majority, and then we'll start the process.
Okay. I'll keep you apprised of where we are.
Okay, thank you. And board members, we do have time certain at 6. And by the way, we're almost perfectly on time. Employee comment. Let me review that. And we have 2 employee comments. And here we go. We will now take employee input. Even though we hear public comment at the beginning of the meeting, it is sometimes difficult for employees of our district to attend meetings at 4 p.m. There are many ways for employees to make their voices heard, including through union representatives, emails, phone calls, one-on-one conversations, and public comment at the beginning of the meeting. The board wants to hear from you. With this section of the agenda, we are creating yet another avenue for employees to speak to the board. We are setting aside 30 minutes for employees of the district to speak to the board about any issues that are on your mind. This is not intended to be a discussion about specific agenda items on tonight's agenda, but rather an opportunity for you to speak to the board about any issues related to your job or the district. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. And I will now call Mr. Rob Crete and then Jennifer Miller. And good evening.
Hey, good evening, board members, Superintendent Davis, staff. Hey, and thank you for Ms. Arja. I think she passed out the results of a survey, a recent 3-question survey that we've done with our members. So you can take a look at that data. What we did is we put out they're open-ended questions, so that way it wasn't pre-formed answers where they're saying I like A or C or D. And the questions were simply, what specific actions could be taken to improve employee morale at school sites? The second one was, what specific actions can be taken to improve instruction at school sites? We've got about 1,300 responses. Employees are busy, so I mean, we have about 10,000 members, so about 12% of our members responded. And I would say, looking at the data that I've offered you there, we've tried to categorize the answers that we've gotten. And the number one answer for both questions is, please let teachers teach. So we have in our district, we have lots of tools, and we're thankful for all of those tools. We just want the teachers to have that ability to get those lessons prepared, know which tools that we have, and then figure out what is the best tool for Member Gray. What is the best tool for Member Hahn? What is the best tool for Member Washington? I can go right down the line. And quite frankly, they're the experts, and what I found most interesting is that morale and learning gains are the same answer. That's where teachers feel the most love for the job that they have in a very difficult time. This job is monumentally difficult, and the pandemic has made that almost impossible to do the job. So they need a little bit more breathing room. And however we can create that in this district, we must do it immediately. Now, there's other things in there. They believe that they've worked harder than ever and they deserve their year of service, and I agree, and we'll talk about that in bargaining, so I look forward to that. We need adequate staffing, and I appreciate you guys trying to address all that. And stop treating this year as a normal year. We know it's abnormal, maybe even more abnormal than last year, which seems kind of crazy to even say that. So we're going to, I just want to give you all this data. I thought it was a good idea to have open-ended questions, because that means that they're thoughtful in their answers. We're not giving them what we think that they should be thinking about. And I'd be happy to answer any questions for you, after this meeting about this survey. Am I done? Or you have a question? Is that okay? And then the third question was really about what computer programs and applications that are currently provided by the district that they find effective in helping their students. So I have them prioritized based on the answers that we have, because we do have a lot of programs, and we want to hear which ones do they like and which ones are they not utilizing as much as others. So was that a ding-dong for a question? Am I allowed to take a question? No. Okay, sorry. Okay, but you guys are more than happy to reach back up.
Go ahead. Rob, go ahead. You're just reactionary tonight. Go ahead.
But I appreciate, sharing this with you guys. We'll be sharing with all of our members as well this Friday in our newsletter, and I'm happy to answer any questions about it. Thank you for the work that you're doing. We look forward to seeing you guys at the bargaining table to help settle that contract. But thank you. Be safe.
Thank you, Mr. Crete. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Jennifer Miller. And good evening.
Good evening. Dear board members and district administrators, we need you. We need you to make the right decision and allow paper-based semester exams. This new hybrid of computer-based mid-year assessments and traditional exams is an absolute nightmare. Giving exams as early as November 29th on the computer as a subset of the mid-year assessment, this is a bad educational decision. Students have not had a normal year in over 2 years, and they do not need more changes to our assessments. Our 6th and 7th graders are taking exams, many for the first time. For algebra students, they're going to sit in front of a computer and answer more than 50-something questions in 100 minutes, potentially over 2 days. Many of the questions have content they have never seen before. Content that they have not learned yet. These students have been dealing with trauma and uncertainty, and we are going to give them an exam that counts for 30% of their semester grade, depending on the course, knowing ahead of time that they're going to see problems that are going to leave them completely flummoxed? How is a nervous child supposed to differentiate between content that they should know but maybe forgot and content that's brand new to them? This mid-year assessment from which exam grades will be derived, they're a mistake. We need to give traditional paper pencil exams for this year. Do not make us use the computer systems which you changed, which have done nothing but make more stress and less efficiency, by the way. Take weeks now for testing instead of 1 week of exams. Do not try to make kids figure out which questions they should know on their exam and which questions don't count at all. Best case scenario, using the district's suggested timeline, students will lose a full week of learning and review. We're already trying to accelerate through months of learning loss. Now we're going to take away another week. Why? Why are we doing this? I infer it's to be more in line with next year's state assessments and to avoid the cost of printing large copies of exams. If so, then give us the one-to-one devices and the infrastructure to support it. If you can't give us what our kids need, then bring back the paper exams and let us make sure that our students' exam grades reflect what they know and are actually able to do.
Thank you. And at this time, that concludes the employee comments. And board members, let's go ahead and tackle our discussion items. Following items will be heard: C603, C605, C608, C610, C704, C1101. C603, Agreement for Technical Services with Doug L. Langford Technology. And Member Vaughn pulled this item. So Superintendent Davis, will you highlight this item?
Yes, Ma'am, the Chair. 603 is a technical agreement with Doug Lansford. He's been with the district since 2005. He is the gentleman that really helps us with either setting up programs to customize all of our applications related to addressing coding and programmatic issues with finances, HR, with benefits, all to be able to create any changes and to adjust our systems. He is an expert in Lawson, and this project openly until we get our new ERP system will probably last for the next 2 years. This is an annual contract. This would be able to hire this type of engineer would be over $200 per hour. In our contract, currently recommendation that we agreed upon with Mr. Langford is $90 per hour.
Board members, I need a motion and a second to approve this item. I have a motion by Member Combs. I have a second by Member Vaughn. Member Vaughn. Will there be any discussion? And, oh, sorry, Member Vaughn, you pulled the item. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. So this is a 1 or 2 year agreement. I'm sorry.
This is a 1 year agreement.
But you anticipate coming before the board next year and asking to renew this because you think this will be a 2 year ask?
Yes, ma'am. It's fair. Once we get the ERP system in place, we're still going to need some carryover to be able to make certain that we have all of the right programs, initiatives, coding to be able to be in place so we don't have any flaws in the system, especially when it impacts benefits, financials, HR, payroll, those types of elements.
And it's mentioned that it saves the district $129,000, $130,000. You're saying that's in lieu of hiring a full-time employee to do this within the IT department?
I'll let Dr. Weeks be able to address the financial compensation.
Okay, thank you for the question. So realistically, the savings comes in when comparing it to the expertise that a consultant would offer coming from one of the larger vendors that supports Lawson specifically. The expertise is very difficult to find. It is outdated technology. This is related to our homegrown system. So Mr. Langford has actually been involved basically throughout most of the process in creating these specific customizations. So he intimately knows all of the application and the customizations that we've performed. So that's knowledge that we would have a very difficult time trying to find.
Okay, and I thought in reviewing the contract, it said that we provided do we provide an office or a place to work, or what were the details about what we provided for? Did I read that wrong?
At this point, it's my understanding that Mr. Langsford works primarily remotely.
Remotely. Okay, so I was going to ask if that was included in there. Okay, those are the questions I have now. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Please, board members, please vote when your lights are on. And it passes. Thank you, board members. 605, light speed license equalization. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item, and Member Vaughn pulled this item. Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am. To the chair, this is Lightspeed license to be able to connect with and make sure that Children's Internet Protection Act is followed. We get millions of dollars annually from E-rate, which reimburses us on our infrastructure within our school district up to 80%. So what this does is allow us to be able to put filters, content filters in place that restricts our students from going to inappropriate websites or content to be able to download. So this is $97,000, the expenditure. And to give you an example, we're going to go out for a potential E-rate to be able to put new infrastructure within our school district. That's a $30 million cost. If we don't have this initiative put in place to follow the Children's Internet Protection Act, then we will not get back the 80%, which is $24 million back reimbursement from the E-rate of possibility grant that we can apply for. So this is a necessity.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Davis. Board members, I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Washington, second by Member Combs. Member Vaughn, you pulled the item. Would you have a question?
I do, and I appreciate this. I do just want to state for the record, and I know Superintendent Davis, you're working on this, but I have asked for kind of a collection of all the money that we're spending internally. I know we talk a lot about the software that we're putting in schools, and I know this is utilized in the schools, but I know this doesn't fall on the original list that I asked for, computer programs, so I just want to reiterate that some of the reasons I'm pulling this is to get a real understanding of how we're spending our budget internally on our license and our software, because we talk a lot about software in schools. For this one specifically, I know it's broken down into two different components. The quote for, it sounds like we have about 22,000 computers that didn't have that. We have 100,000 that it's covered on, but we still have a gap of 22,000. Is that correct?
That would be correct. So basically how we arrived at the number was by initially looking at the quantity that was purchased on our initial purchase, which was to cover approximately 90,000 devices. And then we looked at adding that software onto all of our existing devices. This is actually to true up that number between what our initial purchase was and to make sure that we have all of the devices covered throughout the district. So future purchases are actually taken care of as part of the actual purchase price, but we need to actually license that approximately 22,000 devices that we couldn't account for because we really didn't know at that point in time the accurate number of devices we would have to deploy out into the classes prior to purchasing new devices.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is the future one, when we approved the amount for one-to-one devices, this is already included in that amount that we approved for that, so we won't see a future item for those computers that we anticipate coming?
For all the new devices, we will not see anything. There may be a small remnant of this next year because this is a one-year contract for the existing devices. We are anticipating most of these devices will drop off by next year because we are replacing them due to their age. However, there is a small chance that some of these will still need to carry over for the following year.
And then, so part of that is for the 22,000 devices. The next piece is that for an upgrade of the software? Because it's broken down into two pieces.
No, so there's actually two components to the software. One is specifically the internet filtering, the portion of the software that covers the SIPA compliance. And the second part of that is for classroom management. So that allows our teachers in our classrooms to actually examine what is occurring on the students' laptops or devices during a class. It also allows them to lock down the devices so that students need to be able to focus specifically on the content that is being delivered by the teacher.
And they don't have that capability as of right now. This is an upgrade to that?
This is a true up for those devices. This was purchased as part of the initial, the seeding, which happened last year. And then this is actually to bring us in line with the licensing for that. But that does not cover all computers. It is only for classroom computers.
And then lastly, I know this is just a technicality, but it has Mr. Bunkley's name on that. Is that going to be rectified since he's no longer with the district?
So Mr. Bunkley actually was the one who had pushed this forward initially. However, I will be moving forward with this in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Member Vaughn. Board members, I need, board members, please vote when your lights are on. Okay. It's unanimous. Thank you, board members. 606, Agreement for Technical Service, Brainspring, Orton, Gillingham, Professional Development. Superintendent Davis, please highlight this item. You have 2 board members that pulled the item. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. This is professional development for our teachers in pre-K through 5th grade. And what this does is for students with teachers who teach students with disabilities, create strong foundations to be able to provide intense training on multisensory for teaching and explicit instruction. It goes on to be able to really help our teachers better have accessibility to specific language skills, reading skills, and to date we've had 500 teachers that have been trained to be able to support ESE students under this umbrella. And this is just an expansion of that initiative, and this is really will allow us to address students who have dyslexia as well. And this is being used and funded out of IDEA funding.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Snively, a second by Member Perez. Member Vaughn and Member Snively will make comments. Member Vaughn?
I actually met with Monica. She answered a lot of my questions. I was concerned about how tactile this was, and she really helped me understand that this is full of engagement with the teacher actually engaging and using tactile. I thought Superintendent Davis was going to highlight it in his report, but I guess not. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk to Monica, and I'm interested in seeing what Member Snively has to say.
Oh, okay. Well, the suspense just begun. Member Snively, let's hear what you have to say.
No, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for, I too thought it was going to be highlighted, but that's okay because it's pulled, and I want to make a point. We've been working on increasing the opportunities to identify dyslexia over the last several years. I'm looking at Ms. Brown because she's nodding because we know we've had these conversations before. So I wanted to throw out some statistics and just kind of emphasize how important it is that we're doing this work with our students. 8.5 million American students have dyslexia, which is a surprising number because there are many students who never get diagnosed because they're able to work around having dyslexia, and they do their best. 85% of students with learning disabilities have dyslexia, and it never goes away, but people with dyslexia can learn to read if they're taught with a structured literacy, which helps them to rewire their brains. Dyslexia does not only affect reading, here's something that you may not know, it also affects writing, spelling, math, and many other areas of life and learning. People with dyslexia often suffer low self-esteem, struggle in school, and are teased by others, but dyslexia is no way tied to IQ. Many people have high IQs and are considered twice as exceptional, which means they have gifted intelligence and have dyslexia. And many highly successful people at the top of their field have dyslexia. So I just wanted to make a point that there are probably many students out there that we have in our schools that have never been recognized or diagnosed with it because we haven't had the full training that's available. We have definitely improved. We've gotten better and better over the years. We've implemented programs, better programs every year to identify our students and help them. And I just wanted to say thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing this forward. And I'm very pleased that we continue to make progress in this area because there are a lot of parents out there who probably contact many board members about what services are available for their students who have either been diagnosed for dyslexia or could potentially be diagnosed for dyslexia. So thank you.
Thank you, Member. Excuse me. Thank you, Member Snively, for sharing those statistics, and it's quite grave and quite telling. My only question, Superintendent Davis, is, we're dealing with a lot of phonics programs, but I was just wondering why are we not dealing with the SIPS programs that we purchase? I see phonics level 1, unless it's all the same, but I just some clarification.
Yes, ma'am. SIPSs are across the board resource to be able to address phonics at scale. And we do see that students need additional services to be able to go to Tier 2 and Tier 3. And this acts as additional tier for students with disabilities. And this continues to be a product, a solution, a methodology that truly helps us being able to build foundational skills and literacy for those who need intensive assistance or assistance to be able to serve them educationally.
So very interesting and telling how the basis of learning, especially as we head towards pre-K and early, the phonics programs are so critical. But at any rate, yes, I'm in favor. And board members, if you'll vote when your lights are on. It is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have 610 budget amendments, and this will be from the period of July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2021. Superintendent Davis, you'll highlight this item, and we have Chair Gray, Member Vaughn, and Member Snively have all pulled this item for probably clarification. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. This is 601 budget amendment. I'm going to transition to our CFO, Mrs. Johnson, and also Mrs. Garcia.
Good evening, everyone, board members, chair, and superintendent. Ms. Garcia will be going over the monthly financial report for September the 30th. It will be a very brief presentation.
Famous last words. Go ahead, give it a go.
The budget amendments ended for September 30th, 2021. Had minimal activity with the exception of the general fund. We received a letter from the Florida Department of Education dated September 17th, reducing our revenue by $28.2 million because of the increase in Florida Empowerment Scholarship students and the McKay students. This was statewide, so the increase was statewide. Hillsborough received $28.2 million on top of $25.2 that we had already budgeted for. So the cost of the Family Empowerment Scholarship and McKay to the district was really $54 million. We have the IT, the Choice Department, and ESE are currently reviewing the data to ensure that those students really are Hillsborough County Public School students, and hopefully that we can recoup some of the money if they were not our students. So they are currently reviewing this information.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Are you continuing?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So this is the general fund amendment, which shows the $28 million decrease in the column D. You can see where it was decreased. And the monthly cash flows is something else we wanted to bring to your attention. We continue to have a positive balance every month during this fiscal year. So, which means we will not have to go out for a tax anticipation note, and we will not have to borrow any dollars from any other funds. We will end up with $54 million in cash. You can tell from this bar graph that it's a bell curve, and we've brought it to your attention before, but in December is when we get the majority of our property tax dollars. So that is the month that we'll have the most cash on hand, and it'll continue to decrease until we get to June, which it looks like $54 million. The fund balance projections, we started with $86 million as our projection for the ending of fiscal year 22. This would have given us an unassigned fund balance of 3%. If everything remains the same and we do not have an increase in revenue or a decrease in expenditures, and the $28.2 million decrease holds, we will end up with a $57 million fund balance. What this does to our unassigned fund balance, it decreases it to 1.5%, which is below the 2% required amount that we will need. And that's it.
Yes, and just to be clear, I know you said it, let's say it again, Ms. Garcia. The fund balance for the year with regards to that being taken out from the John McKay Scholarship is what? And because of, well, let's just say with what we had, what was it? And with this McKay, what is it, the fund balance that is?
So we projected $86 million at the end of June 30th in September, which would have given us an unassigned fund balance of 3%.
Right.
Because of this decrease, we will end up with a $57 million fund balance, and it will give us a 1.5% unassigned fund balance, which is below the 2% minimum requirement.
And this shares with the board the critical nature of our budget. And thank you for pointing that out. So a little bit of another nail in the coffin, so to speak. Board members, let's see. I need a motion and a second. I need a motion from, I got a motion from Member Hahn, and I need a second. Board members, thank you, Member Vaughn. A second by Member Vaughn. Discussion time. Member Perez.
I know one thing that we don't talk about too much that I think we discussed was, could you speak with the board about where our Medicaid dollars are and how really looking at the Medicaid dollars and focusing on and who you got now to help and where those Medicaid dollars are now.
So last fiscal year, we received $10 million in Medicaid dollars, and we project about the same this fiscal year. We did hire a new person to take over Medicaid. Her name is Danine Grassini. Am I saying that right? And she's from Broward County, and that's what she did in Broward County, so she's quite experienced. So we have high hopes for the addition of revenue to Medicaid.
And like we spoke, as opposed to 2 years ago where this district was receiving only $2 million in reimbursement for Medicaid, we've now moved that needle higher.
We moved it higher, and we are getting additional dollars based on previous claims that they had denied.
Perfect. Thank you so much for letting the board know that.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Vaughn.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify my understanding of this publicly because I think our budget, and especially when we're talking about our general fund and our amendments, are very important. So we had put aside a certain amount that we expected to go to scholarships, which are public fund dollars that students are able to take to private schools. We're not talking about charter schools that are governed by private boards. We're talking about completely private schools now. They're taking our public tax dollars and using these scholarships to go to private schools. We had expected a certain amount based on our conversation, on our budgeting, but there's been an excess of that. So how much did we originally set aside for that?
So originally, we budgeted $25.2 million, and that was based on the second calculation from the Department of Education.
And so it's actually $50 million?
$54 million.
So $54 million is coming out of our general fund, which we're struggling as right now to even be able to pay the staff that we have since we've been drastically cut. $50 million is coming out of our general fund so that parents can send their kids to private schools using public tax dollars. Now, I know there was some talk that we were hoping that with a count and we were going to be reimbursed for, what was it, $19 million is what we're hoping for at the end of the year?
We're hoping the increase in our FTE projections will bring in additional $19 million, but we won't know that until December.
Because based on our projection, the good news is less kids went to charter schools than we thought, and more kids came and were enrolled in our traditional public schools. So that's good news. However, that still leaves a $10 million shortfall because of these scholarships, which is coming out of our general fund, what percentage of our general fund, specifically it's instruction, how much of our general fund instruction is salaries?
85% of our budget is salaries.
So 85% of that $10 million.
89, I'm sorry.
89. So we're taking an additional $10 million out of the money that we have to pay our instructional staff now. And yet we're talking about how we're not going to make any more cuts, that we're already short staffed, that we're cut to the bone. But I just want to be clear that that's a $10 million, and that's if we get lucky and we're right about a number of students that have not gone to charter schools and that our enrollment is up. If we get that $19 million, we're still at a $10 million shortfall, and that's with the money we already projected, which was close to $30 million coming out of our general fund. So when we look and parents are concerned because they don't have the staff that they need, and they don't have the support in the classrooms, and they don't have specials that we're talking about, and we go through the whole thing that we went through last year, we can directly go back to this conversation where we talked about this money coming out of our general fund instructional that's going to hurt us even more because our public tax dollars are now going to private school. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Board members, please vote when your lights are on. All members voted yes, and Member Snively is out of the area at this moment. Thank you. 704. Approved. Oh, by the way, thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Good job.
Good job. I know it's a lot of numbers there. 704, approved guaranteed maximum price for UU K-8 school at Waterset. Superintendent Davis, will you highlight? And Member Snively has pulled this item.
Yes, ma'am. This item does is really identifies the scope provided for the construction of the new school related to UUK8 in the Waterset area in Apollo Beach. It just includes all site work, all construction work, all the new turf, and off-site road work as well. This will be 1,800 student stations that we will be offering, and just provides clarity of the entire project and also the guaranteed maximum price for the project.
Sorry. Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Board members, I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Member Hahn, a second by Member Washington. And Member Snively, would you like to ask a question on this item?
Thank you. I was trying to remember. I think.
Let's see if we have.
Mr. Farkas, help me remember.
Sounds like a song.
Farkas, any updates?
Once you hit 50, it's all downhill after that. So
no, I appreciate
we
that.
had a robust conversation.
We had a very
about this,
robust.
but I've slept since then. So
it was about parameters on a GMP and what the board has as far as if any changes are in place and that part of it too. So there's a board policy 6345 that says if you agree to this price, if there's any changes up to 20%,
That's right.
we actually have to come back to you and you have to approve it. We don't have the authority just to increase the price. And one of the issues was Sumner. So remember, we first came to you with Sumner. Some of you were on the board for that. It was a $58 million price tag. It ended up at 72. The difference was not the increase in price. We actually added 500 student stations for middle school, added a turn lane and a stoplight that went out in front of the school that we paid for. So that came to the board for the change. So yes, there's definitely some thresholds and some guards in place so that once we agree to this price, that we can't just increase that price without coming back to the board, and that's part of our board 6345.
is there a threshold that has to be met for it to qualify to come to the board for approval? What's that number? Is it any amount, or it could be 5,000 or 500,000, or what's the threshold?
That's a great question. So anything over $4 million, we go through a selection process. It's also board policy. We have to come back and approve that GMP before it goes forward. If it's less than $4 million but over $300,000, then it's part of the continuing services. It still comes to the board, and then we give you an annual report at the end of the year that does that. Anything under $300,000 comes in an annual report at the end of the year. It doesn't come for approval.
And what situation would have to occur, like with Sumner, where we had to pay for the stoplight and some of the ancillary things, safety measures around the school?
That's a wonderful question, and one that's very pertinent to a lot of our conversations in the southern part of the county. For those of you that have been to Sumner, and I think all of you have at this point, the turn lane and the stoplight are actually adjacent and are touching our property. We're allowed to pay for that based on the law, and that is definitely the case that we can do it. If it was the stoplight down the street or the widening of the road not next to our property or contiguous to our property, we could not pay for that. But at Sumner, very specifically, it was the stoplight turning into our facility, and also the turn lane and the deceleration lane coming into our facility as well. So they were both contiguous.
And similarly, sidewalks that are on school property, we always put sidewalks on school property, but they don't automatically guarantee a contiguous sidewalk out after you've left school property. That's based on the county or whoever owns the land adjacent to the school.
100% accurate. And actually, Sumner is a good case. They had planned to do that and had some delays, and some of those sidewalks were delayed in getting installed. They had all intentions to do that, and we notified them ahead of time. But all internal sidewalks we do and are open or finished before the school opens.
Okay. And then lastly, I know that one of the public comments was mentioning that they did not see what the financial impact of this particular project was, but it was publicly listed on the agenda on the cover sheet. I just wanted to point that out. There was no missing information from for the public's view with regard to that, correct?
Correct. It's in the financial impact. It's also in the first page of the contract, which is posted to the agenda.
Noticed that as well. So, okay. Those were my questions. Thank you.
Good. And Mr. Farkas, this has come up before. I think it was at Cypress Creek, right near Shields, where the sidewalk wasn't continuous, and I went out with Commissioner White. You know, what has happened? Have we not made any progress with, is it the BOCC that finishes the sidewalk, or is it we're encumbered with that?
Yes, ma'am, it is the BOCC in that case, and we also work with the city in Temple Terrace and Plant City, but at Cypress Creek, it most assuredly is the county. Their staff has actually been pretty good at responding back to them, but they're limited on budget, to be all honest. And they had a board meeting, a county commission meeting, where they talked about being millions and millions of dollars in the hole and not being able to meet those needs. So where they don't have sidewalks, it is theirs. We can't pay for it even if we wanted to, but the county has definitely been trying as hard as they can to do that radius and put sidewalks in around our schools. We've worked with them to do that, but there are definitely still some gaps. But I would say that in the last couple of years, the number of sidewalks around our schools has increased.
Okay. All right. Well, nonetheless, just getting a little picky, but still on that particular school, the road is right there. There's nothing for those kids to, that blank space means they're in the road. So at any rate, board members, I need a motion. We have the motion. I need to have you all vote when your lights are on, and the lights are on, and it is unanimous. Thank you, board members. We'll go right up to 11:01, and this is the tentative school board meeting schedules. We did discuss this before, but Superintendent Davis, do you want to go ahead and share with that? And we have Chair Gray, Member Vaughn, and Member Snively also interested in what you share. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. This is to make certain that we comply with Board Policy 0165, to make certain that we have 2 regular board meetings per month for at least 9 months within the calendar year. We know that in this recommendation to the board at this particular time, that May, October, and December are the months that we'll have 1 meeting a month, and every other meeting will be 2 meetings per month as outlined by the policy. So just bring to the board for approval, for reflection, or any particular adjustments related to the proposal.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve this item. I have a motion by Member Hahn, second by Member Snively, and discussion by I'm clarified as to the schedule. Member Vaughn, and then Member Snively.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that as we've seen over this year, things change and move, and that this is a flexible schedule that we're approving it now, but as needed, if something comes up, we can change or move a meeting. And I just wanted to clarify that before we approved it, that's the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Snively?
Really, I went over this with Mr. Ayers, and he pretty much answered all of my questions, and we did figure out that there's a brain twister that goes with this particular equation. We're trying to figure out if a state law requires the school board to have a minimum of 1 meeting per month, and our local policy requires us to have a minimum of 2 board meetings for at least 9 months out of the calendar year, how many total meetings does the school board need to have in a calendar year?
A lot.
Sounds like an FSA question.
Not 18, not 24, 21. So, sorry, just wanted to add a little humor to it, but thank you, that's all.
Fun facts. Okay, board members, please vote when your lights are on.
We gave Van that answer.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Member Snively, for giving us a smile at this time of the evening. And so at this time, we're going to have information items only. No vote is required, 1201. And Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime we go and ask for a particular road to be vacated, our job and responsibility is to bring to the board. We requested the city of Tampa to vacate a portion of the public right-of-way related to Robinson High School. We're doing some renovations on their building, so we're asking them to vacate this particular area, whether it's at scale full-time during the renovations or at least during the time in which we are doing the project as students are in the school hours. So just bringing it to the board as an information item, and we hope to be able to get some direction from the city.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Likewise, we have 1202, School Security Risk Assessment findings that Chief Newman gave us great education. Will you highlight this item?
Yes, ma'am. This is annually we are required to bring to the board and meet with the board during an executive session to be able to highlight and to discuss all of the security risk assessment findings within our school district. That information then is turnkeyed and sent to Department of Education. That is due by November the 1st, so we're just bringing it to our annual approval to provide verification that the board has interacted with it and understand our findings.
Okay, board members, that concludes our agenda to the point where we're at your comments. So board comments, please get in the queue, and here we go. Member Hahn, followed by Member Perez, and then Member Snively.
Thank you. I just want to say I passed out, I can't find my flyer, but everyone should have received a literacy fair flyer. The next fair is November 6th. It's on a Saturday morning. The first fair is going to be at Lanier Elementary. It's another drive-through format that works really well. As you can see on the flyer, we've got some really fantastic partners in the fairs this year. We'll have 2 more after the holidays, one in South County, one again at Sly. So we're really excited about that. We'll be sharing these flyers with our community, with our schools through social media. Peach Jar and some of our local television stations are also going to help us out by pushing it out. So really excited about that. Also, this past week we had Miss Athens Pellegrino in the studio to film another Storytime online episode. She's a local author. She writes the Military Child Chronicles, and her book chronicles Mission, My First PCS. PCS is Permanent Change of Station. So it's a book that helps support kids who are families from the military and how they can prepare and make moving fun, because as you can imagine, it's stressful for kids. So it was really exciting to have a local author. Her husband is in the military. They're stationed here right now. So look for that episode to be released soon. And we're going to be doing a parent night on the base for military families where Athens will come read her story at a story time. And we'll gift the attendee families with copies of her book. And she's coming out with a new Christmas book about how military families may not necessarily get to spend the holidays with their families far away, but they'll spend them with their military families where they are. So we're excited to share these stories with our military families the first week of December. We also, I wanted to thank ABC Action News as well as CW44 News for coming out to the One Voice Academy Pediatric Cancer Classroom and bringing awareness to that opportunity for our students across the district. It was a great opportunity for One Voice to really talk about the vision around how this got started and how it's supporting families in our school district and our community. And then lastly, a big thank you to, this is National School Bus Safety Week, and myself and the superintendent, school board member Washington, Mr. Beekman, we were able to go out to Thonotosassa. Thonotosassa, I can't even say it. Thonotosassa, to hand out lunch on Monday to kick off National School Bus Safety Week. So I just want to thank the bus drivers, the mechanics, and the behind-the-scenes crews that help us get more than 60,000 students to school every day safely. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting so many of you on Monday morning, and to be doing that side by side with the superintendent and my school board colleague was an honor. So thank you, Superintendent Davis, for doing that for our employees. It was really just a happy, positive time, and we really got to talk with employees around some serious concerns they have, and also lift them up also. So it was a lot of fun. So thank you for doing that. And
thank you, Dr. Hahn, for attending, and Mr. Washington. The teriyaki chicken was the hit.
Unfortunately, I could not. I had a tough time selling the vegan. I was in charge of the vegan.
Thanks, Mr. Farkas.
And that was a tough sell for sure. Mr. Washington and Superintendent Dave. Mr. Beekman really had the winner of the dish. The teriyaki chicken was the winner. But it was a lot of fun, so I appreciate the opportunity. And I will have, and since Ms. Gray is away from the dais, Member Perez.
Thank you. So, Pablo, do I have something?
Stop the time.
No, did I? No. Okay. So, like the superintendent stated, we had a reading over at an elementary school, and it was really neat. So he read the same book that I was reading in Spanish. He read one page in English, I read the other one in Spanish, and it was really neat, the dual language going on. But also, we as board members attended the NAACP Freedom Fund, thank you. And one of our own was recognized in that NAACP. It was Owen Young. He, our regional superintendent for high schools. He received the Marva Collins Education Award. And, with it being October is National Principals Month, I want to send out not just a shout out to him, but all our principals in Hillsborough County who have worked during this most difficult time, have kept our students, even through this, these challenges that social media put together, they're still on the forefront of our schools and our students and their learning. And, if it not for them, we would not be doing what we're doing and keeping our schools open. So, a shout out to all our incredible principals here in Hillsborough County, and happy National Principals Month to you. And also, I'm going to be judging in Riverview High School on Saturday with the Greater Riverview Chamber of Commerce, a Trick or Treat street costume contest. So I love this because I get to be just, enamored with these costumes. So it's going to be babies from 0 to 15. And yes, I call them babies. So, and also puppies and dogs will be in their costumes. And I get a chance to just dote on everybody's little dogs. So, and this is, like I said, October 23rd at 3 p.m. over at Riverview High School. So, I'm looking forward to seeing our students having fun and getting ready for Halloween and an early start. So, but that was my stuff. Thank you.
Member Snively. Member Snively.
Okay, thank you. I probably should have kept this on the information portion because now I'm getting timed, and I might have to get back in the queue or something to do my normal board comments. But so, as you all know, it's been an interesting time to be a school board member. Board members across the nation have struggled with many challenging decisions, mostly around the pandemic, which have caused many constituents, especially parents and relatives of students, to become very engaged in school board meetings. On September 29th, the National School Board Association issued a letter to President Joe Biden requesting, quote, federal assistance to stop threats and acts of violence against public school children, public school board members, and other public school district officials and educators, unquote. The letter requests federal intervention of such incidents, suggesting some behavior could be considered hate crimes and domestic terrorism. In response to this letter, the U.S. Justice Department announced it was convening a task force, among other actions, and the NSBA letter and the DOJ response have created quite a firestorm of comments in the news and media platforms. So the Florida School Board Association Board of Directors met last week. I'm your representative. I sit on the board for the FSBA, and we agreed that we are extremely concerned about the lack of civil discourse at some board meetings. This is across the nation. I'm not necessarily specifically speaking about our board meetings as much as it's happening in many different places. But we are concerned about threats to public officials and school employees, and we believe that any criminal activity should be investigated by local law enforcement agencies. However, we do not believe there is a need for federal intervention at this juncture. So the NSBA is a national association composed of state school board associations across the country. While the FSBA is a member of the NSBA, we were not consulted about the need for federal intervention, nor were we made aware of any state making that request. In fact, the letter is very inconsistent with the NSBA's support for local control, and we all know how important local control is. In a letter sent by our association to the NSBA, and I've given you a copy of all the letters, the first letter from the NSBA to President Biden, the response from the Florida School Board Association, and the resolution, NA resolution. So our letter on October 11th, we claimed that we were disappointed that the national organization made a request without consulting anyone else on their board of directors nationally or the state boards across the country of membership. And we asked for a review of their own processes and their leadership. We also want to make it very clear that we encourage and welcome parents as well as other concerned citizens to our school board meetings to engage in a lively, respectful, and civil civic discourse. We respect Florida's open meeting laws, invite disparate beliefs to be shared, and believe hearing from passionate stakeholders is a sign of healthy community engagement. I wanted just to share that with you because there's been a little bit of news around it, and we always want to promote civility here in our school board meetings, but we never want to discourage parents or anybody from the community to participate in the public comment process. So that is really all I had to share with regard to our meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as board members or any comments that you want to share at this time. So, okay. So, other than that, now I have 52 seconds left. Okay. Can you start the clock up again? I wanted to talk a little about staffing our bus driver situation. Okay, so there was an agenda item that I know was withdrawn. We are facing serious staff shortages through our bus drivers. I mean, there's staff shortages everywhere. I mean, across the board. And I'm not talking about just in our school district. It's everywhere. But it's really impacting instructional time for our students. And I don't know if you have any statistics on how much instructional time it's costing students, but I know that it's got to have an impact if kids can't get to school in a timely fashion because their bus drivers are having to do double and triple runs trying to get these kids to school. So I know that you were going to propose a temporary fix, if you will, that was a little bit, cost concerning to me, I know, and some of the constituents that I spoke with who contacted me by phone, and there were a lot of, I saw it a little bit on social media, that there are a lot of people that gave a little heartburn to with regard to how much that could potentially cost us in human resources dollars. I know that other school districts are trying different things like tiering, changing bell times. I mean, really thinking outside of the box. I don't know if that's working. That's something I would like you to research and see what's working in other counties, because I know that most counties are going through the same challenges that we're going through. But I know that we do have to think outside of the box on this one and figure out how we can serve our students efficiently and most importantly in the most cost-effective way. So I wanted to give you the opportunity for board members to talk about it. If there's something, if we need to workshop it, or if we need to talk more about how we're going to address the shortage of drivers and the transportation issues that everyone's getting very, very frustrated with.
Yes, ma'am. Through the chair, it is significantly frustrating, not only to our parents, to our students, to our teachers, that classrooms continue to be disruptive, but also through human resources and to our throughout the state and throughout the nation. And we see that Escambia was the first one to move to a additional tiered phase of changing bus times. And then Pasco's following suit as well. They're going to start at 7:10, 8:10, 9:10, and 10:10. And, they're going to have 4 tiers, which extends the day and really creates potential angst. I know that particular in Pasco, if approved, and I think it may be approved today, that will start in January. We have looked at multiple facets, whether or not that is a major disruptor for us, and can we actually do it in our particular grade bands. We're going to go back to the drawing table to have deeper discussions. What we were going to bring this evening was a vendor that would charge between 26 to 28% upcharge to the current rate that we would be able to bring individuals in, not only to serve as bus drivers, monitors, it would be substitutes and custodial staff members and food nutrition. We got to look at when we engage Kelly Services right now. Kelly Services, their increase is 27%. So, we have to weigh the options of, us trying to bring a solution this evening that was between 26 and 28% increase in profit for that organization. If we were going to assume those roles and responsibilities within the school district, we would have to pay between 35 and 41%, because we got to pay workman's comps, we got to pay fringe benefits, we've got to pay a number of elements that's inclusive of that overall percentages. So we would be saving money. And I can tell you, we were just trying to find additional solutions where we could to be able to bring individuals in. We are not trying in any way, shape, or form to outsource our workforce at all. But we have to continue to think, what would help us in that process. Now, we could look at the bus times, and that's a potential cost could be a potential less impact on our general fund or our the compensation in which we give. But we have to continue to be able to look indifferently about what we can do, because, we could say that we're going to hire all these vendors, and let me be very honest, there's just not people out there. I drive by today when I'm looking at, driving from different locations. We're hiring at, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be at, an early learning center, whether it be at a nursery, I'm talking about one that has plants and trees. It's everywhere. So, we're starving to be able to fill the positions, and we're trying to leverage as much as we can. The deal is this: our teachers, our bus drivers are exhausted. They really are. We are trying to find proactive solutions. We talked with STAC last night about what we can do to address and validate, to address morale. We talked about what we can do to look at different compensations, and STAC is working, that's my teacher advisory council, is working to figure out, to provide solutions to be able to add maybe more money on substitutes, but we don't know if more money is going to be the attractor as well. So just leveraging other vendors to be able to bring in to try to help with this particular issue. Dr. Well, anything you want to add to that?
Well, also that we're continuing our pursuit with our job fairs. We've had that success. We're working on, we are trying everything and to think out of the box around that. And so that's really where we're at. We're still actively recruiting. We're not going to let up on that.
And tomorrow I will be meeting tomorrow morning with Dr. Whalen and her team about what can we do to expedite the hiring process. If there's anything that we can do, whether that's more people, more time, outsourcing some of that elements, whether it's fingerprinting to bring in. Because when we get those individuals as applicants, we want to get them in fast and committed to us and not have a delay. And some of the delays are being able to be able to schedule it, to have some jobs require physicals. It's so hard to get into Bayshore. So we're just trying to really be better in the approach to when we get them in, we lock them in, we go to work. Mr. Farkas, did you have something?
I just wanted to mention one thing from a board member perspective. In communications with Ms. Kuhn over at Pasco County, their last tier is mainly elementary. It's mixed. It's not just all elementary at the same time, middle and high. It's a mixed bag. A lot of their fourth tier, their 10 times, are elementary. So right now our elementary, and they're starting that in January. Right now, obviously, our elementary starts at 7:30. So from a working parent's perspective and your constituent's perspective, to go from 7:30 to 10 or 10:10 like they're doing at Pasco, and then go to 4:20 in the afternoon is a huge change, a huge shift. They also go a little bit less time on a daily basis than we do in Pasco, so it allows that. But I mean, some of those drastic changes are there. So if we're going to do something like that, maybe surveying the parents about what that looks like, or whether they'd be a little bit later to class, or whether they'd rather start 3 or 4 hours later.
Oh, absolutely. We don't want to change any bell times without surveying parents.
Trying to say that in a nice way.
I mean, that would then that has
Been there, done that.
challenges and complexities. I mean, in theory, it does particularly probably save some money, because we look at we probably have 80 plus double backs that we are right now at minimum. He's not in his head, maybe 100, and it's hard, and we got to get the new software we approved last board meeting up and running into our yellow fleet. That way that we can get to part we can get here comes the bus. We can communicate with our stakeholders about where the bus is and how far it is out, so it's a safety issue.
Yeah. I think Marie said, or Dr. Whalen said, we really kind of have to start thinking outside of the box. And I know that there have been some constituents that have sent you some ideas with regard to, I think it was billable ESE dollars for documenting transportation needs properly, and that we're leaving some money on the table there, potentially renting our buses out to organizations when they're not being used. I think there are, tiering the schools or changing the bell times is certainly disruptive, but here's the flip side of that is that the pandemic has been disruptive already. I mean, so you could either look at it one way, like, okay, well, we're just going to continue the disruption. Everybody's used to it at this point in time. Or you can, try and calm things down. We're going to have to take a stand one way or the other to either try and calm things down and stay consistent with our bell times, or if we're backed into a corner and it's one of the only options that we have, then getting out there and getting some parent feedback on, would you be flexible enough? I think the one word that people have learned through this pandemic is adaptability. and flexibility, because people do not work the same hours that they used to work anymore. They don't even work in the same locations that they used to work anymore. So you might be surprised at how flexible and adaptable parents have become when you receive your feedback as far as, how disruptive is it going to be if we shift from 7:40 to 8:20 or something of that nature. But my point is, we have to think outside the box on this.
Yes, ma'am. And I talked to Mr. Farkas today about connecting with Hart and see if they can have availability to either help pick up routes, give us free bus passes, whatever it may be, so we can get more students. And I know that may be concerning more towards the secondary, help us in the secondary side, but anything we can do to get everyone being able to address this to be more efficient.
Superintendent Davis, and I have comments relating to this, but I want other board members to have their share because it's been a long time.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a good subject. We probably should have had a workshop on this to begin with. But let me go ahead right to the board members. Member Snively, you're okay?
I'll get with you on code of conduct because I'm concerned about some of what our resolution is today, the discipline that we're, the lack of discipline, I should say, we're seeing, and the disciplinary actions in schools. I think if we did a little more emphasis on code of conduct with our students and parents, that maybe we can prevent some of that happening. I don't know what we're doing now to educate our students and parents about what's in the code of conduct and the matrix, but I think we need to definitely work on that so that students don't even realize what infractions they're making and what the consequences of those are. But if they read the student code of conduct and were more familiar with it, maybe they'd be less likely to misbehave.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think what you're hearing, Superintendent Davis, is that the board wants to be involved in these outreach, these situations that we have resolutions and proclamations in the bus, any of the emergencies. The board definitely would appreciate being a collaborative partner. More later. Thanks, Member Snively. Member Washington?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner. It was a wonderful and a great ceremony event. And also congratulations to Mr. Owen Young and all the recipients of the awards. Had a busy 2 weeks here. I started out at Independence, which just is Charlie School, because I know a guy that was there and he wanted me to come by. And I went to the music department. Had a great time. Really, those kids are into music, and they wanted me to sit on the floor, so I did. Kind of hard to get up, though.
I know.
But I did. I know, really. But I was not going to be defeated. I jumped up.
You did? Oh.
But I was aching that night.
Okay.
And I wanted to say that, those kids they're really into music. They wanted to know, how could I sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. But those kids are really, they're doing an excellent job with Mr. Rock, the music teacher, and also the principal of Independence Academy, Mr. Jack Burkett. Then I had opportunity, when I left, I went to Brandon Epic, because I wanted to see how things was going out there. And I spoke with Miss Bird. You can see Mr. Woods. You can see myself. You can see Big Wash. My son, I call him Big Wash. He's bigger than me now. So we wanted to talk about how some of the things that we could do to improve the center. So she came up with some really good ideas, and we're going to work on that in order to improve Brandon Epic 3 Center. Mm-hmm. And then the next one I visit McKinley Elementary School. I was there. I had the opportunity to be with State Senator Andrew Learn from District 59, and we talked about at both schools. You'll see Folsom later, but we spoke about the BSA, the Basic Student Allocation. So I pumped him really good, and I think he's going to advocate for us, because we really need money. We can't operate without that. We had a great time there, but I was over there. My purpose was the BSA. And then we attended Folsom. And at Folsom, then we went to the classrooms. We had a great time, but we still were talking about funding. I guess Mr. Learn may not come back with me again, because I tell you, we were talking about that money, and we need the money in the schools. And And we had a fantastic time over there with the students. We visited students. Mr. Learn had some great questions for them, and it was really good. And then I had the opportunity to go to Crestwood Elementary School. Crestwood Elementary School, I enjoyed being there because the principal there was one of my former students at Chamberlain High School. And they are doing a great job. I had the opportunity to read to those little kids, and they enjoyed because I got them involved. I made it seem like I was reading a book, and then I turned it into a learning environment, and they really loved it because they participated. And we read, and we had a great time, and told some stories in between. They was wild, you know. But we had a good time over there, and that dual language program over there is really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic program over there. And Diane does a great job. Then I went to Lavoie. Our last visit, I went to Lavoie Exceptional Center, and I want to thank Scotty Basham, the principal there, along with Martha McFarland. We visit classrooms. They have great wraparound services over there. They really care about their students, their ESE students. And they are so patient, and they understand. And we had a great time of visiting it, just, you know, even talking to the students. You know, they love their principal. They love Ms. Basham, you know. And they really care about their students. So I was really impressed at Lavoie because I had not had a chance to go over there in a long period of time. And I think last but not least, do we have anything, Pablo, about the buses when we went out to the, anything about we were serving?
YouTube video.
That's the video that the district have? Do they have it? Is it long or short? Or? Okay, it's on Twitter. Okay, no problem. You'll be able to see us. We're serving, you know, the superintendent and Ms. Hahn, we're serving, and but I think she may have won the ones that didn't want the most. She may have won because every time she said Vicum, they turn around, no, we don't want that. But you know what? That was a healthy food, though. That's right. That's right. That chicken. But anyway, we had a great time, and thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Busy Shake Washington. Great events. Member Vaughn?
Thank you. Two things I wanted to highlight, and I don't have photos. I should have sent them beforehand. But HASA, which is the organization that supports our principals and APs, had an event where they did the HASA Monster Splash at the aquarium, where they put on an amazing event and invited all of the principals and APs and did awards, and it was really great. They allowed everyone access to the aquarium, and it was a wonderful event. So I just want to thank CASA for inviting us to that. I got to bring my family, and for the enthusiasm and excitement that was there. It was really great. Next, I wanted to thank one of our partners who I recently went to one of my schools, Burnett Middle School, and I was speaking with a media specialist there about engaging students for a love of reading, not just learning how to read, but how do we really connect with our students and get them interested and love reading. And she said, honestly, and I brought this up before, what we need is, culturally responsive material, and mentioned that they had been trying to do a school-wide book read for some time, and that they had been trying to get the funds to buy one book for every student so that they could do the curriculum for this book read. And I reached out to Anne Marie, and she was wonderful, and she actually connected me with the Hillsborough Education Foundation, and they actually went ahead and sponsored 700 copies of this book. Kim Jowell, who is the CEO, and her team member, Angie Anthony, were instrumental in awarding the classroom grant for Burnett Middle School. And so they got 700 copies, and they're really excited. So I just really want to say thank you to them for fulfilling the wish of this school and really engaging with what they can do to get those students more exciting in reading. Next, I just wanted to take a minute, since we had it brought to us today, to kind of just mention some of the things about this Hillsborough Classroom Associate, the HCTA survey that we did to our teachers. I know that Mr. Creep brought this up quickly, and I really appreciate them responding and answering these questions, or asking these questions. They really leaned in to make sure it was positive. How can we, help? What can we do better? You know, and in question number 1, it was really interesting that he kind of highlighted that while teachers absolutely want more money, what specific actions can we do to improve employee morale? It wasn't, the number 1 answer wasn't money, it was number 2. But stop filling up planning time with meetings, trainings, and other activities. 2 was money. 3 was having the district not micromanage teachers. They want less walkthroughs, fill more open positions, which, you know, we're trying to talk about. Respect and trust teachers as professionals in each room. More working technology, so it's good that we're working on technology. Reduce class sizes. Positive recognition, which we're doing. That's great. And number 2, you know, it talks about what can improve instructions, more planning time, more teachers and staff, better technology, less testing, not as many changes to the curriculum. It talks about supporting student discipline, what Member Snively brought up, reduce class size. And number 3, I think, was important. Which computer program and applications do you find effective? In order, it was iReady. Next, it was none. 3 was Canvas, 4 was Mayon, so I think that's good. Microsoft Office was 5, which surprised me because that's not my favorite. Nearpod, which is fantastic. So I really appreciate that. I'd love to see that available to the public if they have the opportunity to see that. And then finally, I did kind of want to follow up on what Member Snively brought up. I know there is a disconnect, and we're seeing this repeatedly between nationally what the trends are in education, statewide what the trends are in education, and I feel like we're always kind of caught in the crosshairs, which is unfortunate. And I absolutely agree that we need as much civil engagement as possible, that parents should be able to come, teachers should be able to come, people should be able to come and have access to their elected officials. I think where the challenge is really understanding what civility looks like, and understanding that just because you feel passionate about something doesn't give you the ability or the right to abuse people, and to talk about the way that they look or use ableist terms to insult them or use vulgar language to call them names publicly. You know, I think that's kind of the key to this whole thing, is that when we talk about engagement, that we're encouraging people to be respectful, that obviously everybody feels very passionate about things. We're talking about children. We're talking about our own children. I understand that gets people extremely passionate, but I don't think that's an excuse to be abusive to the board members who sit up here. I've repeatedly gone to bat for all of the board members and say that I think everyone is on here for the right reasons and that we're all doing the best that we can. So my ask for our community is to not misquote people, misrepresent facts, be abusive, use unkind names, curse about people when they're communicating how they feel on an issue, because honestly it's not effective. It doesn't move board members, and it really just creates more discontent in our community. So I just wanted to follow up on that. Thanks for letting me go a few seconds over, and I am done.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Combs?
Thank you so much, Chair Gray. Just a couple comments that I really appreciate Dr. Whalen talking about processing, because I think when you have somebody who's a bus driver or lunchroom staff, they can't wait 1 month to be processed. When people are looking for jobs, they need them immediately. And when you hear UPS saying, we'll hire you in 24 hours, let's see how fast we can hire, and maybe looking at other districts and what we can do to expedite and make sure that those positions are filled quickly. I was at a school the other day, and one of the lunchroom staff individuals told me there was somebody that was interested, but it took too long to process and they found another job. So instead of just really looking at outsourcing that, let's look at what we can do in-house first. And I did want to say, happy National Principals Month Day. I think every day should be that, because at the end of the day, really, the principals are the heart and soul of our district. And I really, truly, the assistant principals, the administrators, they're working so hard. And as we talk, and I know, Superintendent Davis, you've done an amazing job in increasing technology, but one of the things that I want to recognize, and I've discussed this in the past, and a teacher came here today, was really the amount of baseline testing that's occurring in our high schools and how it's really crippling some schools. There are libraries that have not been opened all year long. One of my closest friends is a librarian, and she said her high school library has been open 5 days with baseline testing, then FSA retests, then the PSAT. Now we're getting ready for another test. So I know that there are schools, high schools, that have the computer and the technology and the ability to do that. But there are schools here now in our high schools that don't have that, and they don't have that ability. And that is what's creating a lot more stress, a lot more pressure on them. I'm not looking for an answer today from Mr. Connor or Superintendent Davis, but I do want this issue addressed. I think it's very important that when schools are spending, and counselors, I spoke to a counselor the other day who wants to advocate to be able to counsel in schools instead of sharpening pencils and preparing students for testing. I mentioned that at my previous meeting, and I'm mentioning that again because I think it's a huge issue. And when we look at morale, and we look at what's impacting schools, there's a lot of things that we can't control. Testing, community, poverty, but there are some things that we can control that environment, and I really would like for you to look at that and then update me at the next meeting on that. So those are some of the things. I know we're working hard. I know that we want our students, we want to improve our grades, we want to improve testing, but we need to look at the whole child. Sometimes that child might do a great job on testing, but they might turn around and never learn that love of reading. We need to think further than just driving to test. That is a big issue. You tell a third grader enough times that they're below level, they're going to believe that for the rest of their life. And I feel very strongly about that, and that is one of the main reasons that I'm on this board. Along with that, I'd like to end up, this is the end of Hispanic Heritage Month, and we know that we need to do much more for our Hispanic community in our districts, and I would like to spotlight one of the classes that I was able to teach. That's probably one of my favorite things, being able and engage. And Mr. Gallego, the principal, and I was with Ms. Velez with the Latinos in Action. It's a new group at Pierce Middle School. I was able to speak to them for an hour, and then soon after that, I think a couple weeks later, they were highlighted on ABC Action News for doing all the different activities that they're doing. And Ms. Velez was amazing, very committed educator, and her class was incredible. The questions, the comments they had. The other school I'd like to highlight is Webb Middle School with Frank Diaz as the principal, and Miss Lenore Bonfante, who has been here for almost 29 years. I don't think there's many administrators who don't know her and love her. She has dedicated really her life to making a difference with all of our students. So in that class, I spent an hour with that ESOL class. All of those students had been here 2 years or less. The vast majority of them were from Cuba and Venezuela. It was really interesting to meet 7th and 8th grade students that had just come here, some of them 2-3 weeks ago, were living in multi-generational families, many of them split apart, and all those kids, they're coming here for that American dream. And then finally, Bellamy, their dual language program with Principal Hessler and Miss LaChapelle and Miss Fernandez, and that was amazing experience. And the last thing is I want to say thank you to the West Chase Gals Literacy Project. This was a group of women who came together, Leslie Wall and Catherine Barnhill, and they donated over 1,400 books, gently used books, to Hillsborough Education Foundation. They collected $920 and was matched by Usborne Books. And they matched that, and they donated a total of $1,595 to James Elementary and Oak Park Elementary with brand new books. And I want to say thank you to that wonderful organization and for everything that you do.
Thank you, Member Combs. And I'm next, and I'll be very brief. I first want to thank our principals. Of course, they are the heartbeat of every school, and we are all joining as a board to have their. We just want to appreciate every one of them. We know you work very, very hard every day, even beyond the day. So that's a big thank you. On the transportation, what I thought we could do and what we should do before we get into privatization or other vendors, perhaps having the collaboration of the board in terms of a workshop, but let's look at every avenue before we have to go out and look for, other vendors. What can we do? So outside the box thinking, I definitely will concur with some of the board members who shared that as well. I also want to say the business partners always step up, and we had the CEOs in our schools, and I know the Suncoast Credit Union, McDonald's, very prominent business partners also help our schools and our students succeed, and we're looking forward to seeing our CEOs in the schools, which will happen this month. I'm called a coach. Coach Gray, Walk to Run fitness clinics. I had one last Saturday on proper form. And November 13th, I have the heart rate, monitor your intensity at Sly Middle School, and it's at 9 to 11. And one thing, Superintendent Davis, too, when we talk about the gold status for our district, it was many thanks go to the Hillsborough Healthy Schools, that committee, which is made up of almost 25 individuals, social, emotional, physical school environment. We have gotten it, and certainly Dr. Ross, who has applied for it, she successfully with her nurses have really made great strides, as Dina Marshall, of course, and Tracy Schatzberg, but we have to be inclusive. There is a lot of players in that gold award, and we've worked very, very hard. So I just wanted to make sure that was announced and pronounced. They're not here, but I always want to thank them for their commitment, all volunteering to help the students achieve in every school. So at any rate, board members, I know you have places to go and things to do, and I'm going to go ahead and say we're adjourned. Thank you.